Good morning. It's always my pleasure to welcome you to the start of a brand new week and a brand new day. Today's 5th February 2024. And of course, I'll bring you the news in a bit, and then we have the news review. But today, NDC parliamentary candidate-elect for South Tongu, Maxwell Konadu, will be our guest, joining Benjamin Akakpo for the news review. Then right after that, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi will present a segment on the AM Sports. And then we get into the big stories. Today, we'll continue our conversation on government's proposed 15% VAT on electricity for above lifeline consumers. Now, most labor unions are agitated and protesting this. The TUC also intends to demonstrate on the 13th of this month to press home their demands. So today, we'll hear from the Ghana Union of Traders Association and the importers and exporters on the show. And on Citizens Microphone, we'll take your views on this as well. Myself, I'll be out there and about this morning looking to gather your views on how this VAT issue affects you. We'll also tell you about Prostate 60 and Omega Z as we discuss how can you live a healthier life in 2024. Now, hopefully we'll open the phone lines today for you to have your say, but you can always join us on social media on Joy, and you can always join us on social media on all our platforms. This is the AM show. My name is Sweetie Abochi, and I do this with Benjamin Akakpo. It's time now for the news. Let's get into it. This is the AM News on the AM Show. Let's get into the details. Now, former President John Dramani Mahama, who's initiated the Tamni Dam project, says he's prepared to complete that and other project when voted into power. The dam was to serve as an intervention to halt the drift of young people in the Upper East region to the south in search of non-existent jobs. But the project, expected to put thousands of farmlands under irrigation, has progressed slowly for about 6 years now. Nanaya Ojima has more in the following report.
The vegetable farmers have found innovative means of using water from the Tamni irrigation dam for their farms, despite delayed completion. With water pumps sitting in the dam, water is pumped directly into the farms for all-year farming of vegetables. Even in the dry season, the vegetable farms here are doing well due to the irrigation structure in place. During a visit to the project, the NDC flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama, received a citation from the farmers in appreciation.
Thank you, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, for your transformative vision in constructing the Tamni irrigation dam. This vital project has become a cornerstone of livelihood for the youth, providing them with essential opportunities and sustainable economic empowerment.
They'll be able to continue the work that was supposed to be done, and they're doing it in bits and bits, and they are not completing it. So the farmers are actually praying that His Excellency, the transformative leader, comes back.
The Tamni Dam, when completed, is expected to put more than 10,000 hectares of farmland under irrigation. This is expected to change the face of agriculture in the area. A visit to the area found a few equipment at the site. Flag bearer of the NDC, John Mahama, explained the reason for initiating the facility in his term.
During the Harmattan, it's very dry, and there's no water available for anything. So in the past, our people during the dry season were unoccupied, and so they always drift down to the south to go and work and come back before the farming season. Unfortunately, the opportunities, don't exist, so a lot of them, when they go, just remain there and do menial work. And so the solution is to create the opportunities for them to be able to stay and work all the year round. And so that is what informed the construction of this dam. I cut the sod when I was president.
John Mahama says the next NDC government, if successful, will prioritize the project, especially for its aquaculture potentials.
I can see that they are working on the spillway. They need to extend it so that it doesn't erode back and create a problem for the dam wall. And so I think that's what they're doing. But the main work of doing the canal so that you can push the water to irrigate the land is yet to be done. And so it looks like it's an obligation that we would have to take up when we come into office, because that will really actually open up that land for irrigation. Right now, what these young people are doing is they are using their own initiative. They are using pumps and pumping the water. But ideally, the water should flow into the irrigated land, and then they open sluice gates and it flows into the farms.
Meanwhile, other silted dams in the area are high on the agenda of the NDC. From the Upper East region for Joy News, Nana Yauchima reporting.
Now, some supporters of the incumbent Member of Parliament for Ofinso North, Collins Augustine Team, are accusing fans of the newly elected parliamentary candidate, Dr. Fred Che Asamoah, of attacking them. Constituency Vice Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. William Kwabena Nentwi, at a news conference said the situation, if not addressed, could lead to the party into opposition in December 2024 elections. Anna Sabit has more in this report. We'll bring you that report later, but moving on, heads of some low-cost schools in northern Ghana have called for equity in payment of school fees. They're worried about having to pay some fees as other high-cost schools. Low-cost schools are schools established in poor communities to offer education to children who cannot afford expensive schools. Here's Martina Bugri's report.
The Advancing Partnership for Improved Learning is a 5-year program aimed at improving learning outcomes for schools through teacher development and training, whilst increasing access to financing for low-fee private schools. The U.S. government-sponsored program is targeting low-cost private schools in northern Ghana. Speaking at the sidelines of the training, head teacher of the Sky Limit International School, Abdullahi Abdul Mumin, said fees by their regulators were not properly founded.
Opinions being raised by some of our regulators, particularly NASIA, were not properly founded, in the sense that the fees that they impose on low-cost private schools are not different from the very fee they impose on other private schools that are not low-cost. So I think that there should be a positive discrimination in terms of reducing the fee imposed on low-cost private schools.
The General Secretary for the Ghana National Association of Private Schools, Justice King Essel, said attention has always been on the general private school, but the time has come for issues of low-cost schools be brought to bear.
The project is targeted at what we call low-cost private schools. So for a very long time, the concerns of very deprived private schools have not been brought to the table. We have looked at private schools generally, but it's about time we begin to look at within private schools, which are the most deprived and most needy. So we found that in some particular communities where income levels are quite very low, or there's no non-existent economic activity, children still have to go to school, and not all the students or the children in there go to public schools. So there are private initiatives in those areas where they try to give the children education. Studies have shown that private schools have done enormous contribution so far literacy education is concerned. And so there's a need to assist these schools to be able to provide these services even better. And that is the reason for the support program.
Chief Executive for Gushegu, Robert Dawuni, said it was the role of the Assembly to help ensure provision of quality education in the country.
It is the mandate of the Assembly or the MCA to ensure that we have better teaching and learning in our various areas. And so for that matter, if we are talking of teaching and learning, we are not to only concentrate on public schools. The school within our catchment area, they are all under our control.
Now, let me take you back to Ofinsu North, where some supporters of incumbent Member of Parliament, Collins Augustine team, are accusing fans of the newly elected parliamentary candidate, Dr. Fred Che Asamoah, of attacking them. Here's a report.
The Patriotic Party went to the polls on the 27th of January to elect new parliamentary candidates across 104 constituencies where the party has sitting members of parliament, and here in the Ofinsu North constituency, the incumbent, who has been in office for the past 15 years, Collins Augustine team, lost his bid to represent the party in the 2024 polls. Moments after the shocking news hit the ground, his 22-year-old son, Rabi Ntim Dapa, was also pronounced dead after receiving the news of his dad's shocking defeat. Even before the elections, there were signs of a turmoil with both supporters of the incumbent and the newly elected PC, pointing accusing fingers at each other. Exactly a week after the polls, the constituency is charged again after supporters of the incumbent Member of Parliament Collins Augustine team were allegedly attacked by thugs from the camp of the newly elected candidate Dr. Fred Che Asamoah after they were allegedly prevented from attending the one-week celebrations of the late son of the defeated candidate. Here is one of the attacked persons narrating to Joy News how he was attacked. I met a number of people in front of my house and I overheard them saying that they will kill someone today.
In other stories, more than 1,000 aged men and women in the Wa West districts of the Upper West region have benefited from a free medical outreach and donation of food staff by non-governmental organization Glazoya Help Foundation. Some of the beneficiaries who had been sick and bedridden at home were transported for the exercise. Speaking to Joy News, founder of Glazoya Help, Gladys Zoyari, called for support and partnership from public and benevolent organizations to take care of the medical needs of the aged. Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
A little over 1,000 people, mostly aged men and women, drawn from over 100 communities in the Wa West district of the Upper West region, benefited from the free medical screening and medication at Nyole. The cost of the free medical exercise runs into several thousands of Ghana cedis and is being shouldered by non-governmental organization Glazoya Help Foundation. Area of the focus of the health screening included blood pressure and weight, malaria, hepatitis B and C, and fast blood sugar. Some of the beneficiaries for several years have been sick and bedridden at homes. Thanks to the free medical outreach by Glazoya Health Foundation, they were screened and given medication. Others whose condition could not be cured immediately were referred to higher medical facilities. Founder of Glazoya Health Foundation, Gladys Zoyari, spoke of her motivation for embarking on such a venture that is pay less and little reward in.
Motivated to start this program after I met a 13-year-old pregnant girl who was impregnated by a 70-year-old boy. This girl was rejected after she got pregnant. She had no one to care for her, and due to the fact that she was given out for marriage because she was pregnant and she was being maltreated, a 13-year-old girl who can't even wash her own pants was given out for marriage because she's pregnant. So that was when I came in, trying as much as I can to help that small girl. That was where I had the motivation. Well, today we are doing our health screening. It's based on, we have some people, we're checking the vitals, which is blood pressure. We are checking the fasting blood sugar. We're also checking for some of them malaria, and we have doctors, we have PAs who are consulting them. Some of them have been sick indoors for a number of years and they've not been out. So they are those we've gathered here to check them to make sure they are in good health.
Apart from the health screening, they were also given some food stuff.
Mostly, when it's time for the donation, we mostly go out to people soliciting for funds, and there's food you've seen here are donations from other people who really wants to give us. So we've gathered everything together. When we've selected people People that get up, some get up morning till night and they have nothing to eat. This food, we wish you can do more. We wish you can give like 5 bowls, 10 bowls, but it's not enough. The little we have that we've received, we are trying to give it out. For at least it can sustain some of them for 1 week and some of them for 2 weeks.
Gladys Zoyar, who is a trained midwife, said ever since he formally registered the foundation in 2019, she has paid the medical bills and school fees of sea of people with special attention on the needy.
I've laid down my life to help people. Besides my profession as a midwife, I've decided to dedicate myself to help the needy. Meaning that anyone who has no one they call to when they need help knows very well that there is a Nimbala nurse in court, which means that the nurse of the vulnerable. They know that if no one will even listen, but the nurse of the vulnerable will listen to them. I'm really proud of the lady.
Gladys Zoyar considered that embarking on such a venture is not without difficulties and appeal for more support and partnership from the public and benevolent organizations.
The challenges we also face is that you come out, mostly go out to the general public. And it's not really easy getting funds from the general public to help people. There are times I have to go to the market. I go to market women, especially the one market, various market. I send cases. For instance, I have a case of caustic soda, where a young girl, a small girl of 8 years, mistakenly drank caustic soda, diluted caustic soda, thinking it's water. My foundation kept the story on Facebook. We couldn't raise the funds, and I sent this girl to one market, inside market. I go from one market woman to the other. That's what we solicit for funds. You can see that it's really exhausting. Sometimes I have to ask for permission one day from work. Meaning I have to send the client to one market on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays just to solicit for funds, because the surgery alone is 25,000. And I've gone around people to big people asking for help. No help is coming. So it's really challenging raising funds for the foundation. Well, I'm calling out to all corporate groups and other philanthropists out there. If anybody wants to collaborate with the foundation, actually we need more partners. Maybe there's someone out there that is really looking for a genuine NGO to partner with. You've seen what we're actually doing here.
Reporting for J News, Rafik Salam, Nuale.
Now, the Korea International Cooperation Agency, KOICA, in partnership with Korea Food for the Hungry International, a charity-based organization, has set up a vocational training center in the Bongo districts of the Upper East region, where more than 300 women have been enrolled to acquire vocational and business skills free of charge. The beneficiaries will undergo a 2-year training program, which includes weaving, sewing, and learning business strategies. Correspondent Albert Sori has more.
3 vocational training centers have been built, one each at Zoko, Boko, and Balungu, all in the Bongo district. The centers will take a total of 220 women and young girls from these communities to start learning vocational skills, including the weaving of fugu fabrics, sewing, and business strategies. The projects are funded by the Korea International Cooperation Agency, KOICA, in partnership with the Korea Food for the Hungry International, KFHI, an NGO working to raise awareness of poverty and hunger around the world.
This project seeks to not only support the vulnerable, but also set a chance to transform creative mind to excel in both skills and business strategy in the future. So to generate income, which can be achieved through cooperation and support from their family and communities.
This is the Zoko Vocational Training Center, built and equipped with all the necessary logistics for the effective training of the beneficiaries. It also comes with a playroom for infants to make it easier for those of the trainees who are mothers to concentrate on their work. This facility has been replicated in the 2 other communities. The total cost of the projects is a little over 3 million Ghana cedis. Go Hyun Hai, is the mission director for Divine World Mission, the Ghana partner to KFHI.
There is no job in this area so much. So the youth, young people, they have no hope. So I wish, please everybody, this community, help together and develop our village, and especially youth. I wish they have a job and livelihood in the future. They develop Ghana.
The number of beneficiaries include 160 from the Boko community and 80 each from Zoko and Balungu. Their training will take 2 years, during which they will not only acquire the skills of weaving and sewing, but also how to make various handicrafts and effectively market them. The training will be free of charge to these women and young girls, as the cost of their training will be covered by the funding agency KOICA.
We will support this project until 2025. We started this project because the woman doesn't have the opportunity to learn the sewing and the weaving skill, especially in the Bongo district. For the assuring the sustainability, we need a lot of support from the community and then family. We need a lot of support from the district governments.
The beneficiaries were excited by the opportunity they had been given.
After SHS, there wasn't any work. My results are there, but they are not picking us. So therefore, when they brought this thing, I dream it necessarily that if I come and I'm given the opportunity, I'll be able to focus on it. And when I'm done with this, I hope I'll be able to weave a bag, a glove, and some of sandals and other materials.
After I finish the SS, I don't have any work to do. That's why we are doing this. We are happy that we are seeing this work.
I'm happy that they're giving us this way so that I can even help myself if I'll get something small from it to help my husband.
Paramount Chief of the Bongo traditional area, Naba Baba Salifu Lemyarum, said the benefits of this project to the people were enormous.
Sometimes I don't want to say we are poor, but you can't hide it. So all what we think we can do to fight our poverty is through education and vocational training. We are currently handling our girls. And I want to say that our boys should not be left out.
While these women and young girls undergo the training, any products they make will be sold and the proceeds saved until they graduate. The saved funds will then be used to help start them up in their own businesses. For Joy News, Albert Sori, Zoko, Bongo District.
That's how we wrap up for AM News on the AM show. But still to come, Benjamin Akakpo will be here to do the news review, and he's joined by NDC parliamentary candidate-elect for South Tongu, Maxwell Lukuto. And later after that, we'll get into the big stories. This is the AM show. Keep watching.
Welcome aboard the AM show as we continue with the news review. Of course, for the news, you had Sweetie Abochi serving you for another Monday morning. But here we are. It's time now for us to get into the news review. Right before I introduce my guest to you, let's acknowledge those who make it possible for us to have this segment every weekday. I'm talking about none other than Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. And as always, they are offering you the same package for free, gratis. You'll pay zilch, zero, nothing. If you're a man, they're offering you prostate screening for free. Your prostate, small like a walnut, but it could mess you up. It's kind of like the appendix, right? So little, in fact, way smaller than the prostate. But if it has problems and you have to excise it or something, it could give you a hell of a time. That's what the prostate is. It has a core function in the body, especially when it comes to your reproductive system as a man. If you're a woman, I can't state clearly enough how crucial it is for you to check out your fertility status. Many women coming up with so many things nowadays, including fibroids and other complications. It's not as though it were out of the ordinary. You know, most women supposedly have fibroids, but it may just not develop to the point where they may need surgery or some other invasive encounters, which is why you should not take either of this for granted. Get yourself screened for free. Get to know, and then you know what to do from there. And that's why I'm proffering Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic for you. You can reach out to them at any of their branches. Now, here in Accra, they're at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. Then, there's Kumasi, Kronum Abwehia behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Anaji Estate. There's Tema, Community 22. There's Techiman, Hanswa, and Esiama and Zama. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But as the start of the news review, I am pleased to bring on board the NDC's parliamentary candidate-elect for South Tong. I'm talking about Maxwell Konadu. He is our guest. Good morning, Max.
Good morning, my brother. How are you?
I'm okay. We give thanks to God. I could have a better day, but I hope you're having a maximal morning since you're Maxwell.
I'm surprised you took a long time in answering just a simple question of how are you. That is the problem we have in Ghana now.
I knew you'd play politics with that. I knew you'd get into... well, let me just say this. The times could be better, for sure. Wherever you go, and I get to go around a lot, you encounter so many different people in church, outside of church, at work. The rhetoric, it's like a hymn that every Ghanaian is singing. And it's not a pleasant one, but I always also am thankful for life, for health, for strength, for work, and for so many other things. So while we aspire for more, like Oliver Twist, we also remain content with what God has given us. Not necessarily a buying government, but we are thankful all the same. I'd like to find out from you, what is the state of South Tong today as you speak to me? When last did you go there? Quick reflections. I want that to be very brief, Maxwell, because I also want to run a few issues by you for your reflection before we get into the papers.
Yeah, sure, Ben. So I'm doing good by the grace of God. Like you said, we'll be better. We are waiting for the 24-hour economy to kick in, and a lot more of our people will get a job and other largesse daily, so that our lives will be better. South Tong, I speak from the constituency. I am largely in the constituency, and on daily basis, I go around to see how things are and how we can make it better. As a party, we have not categorically rolled out our campaign activities or plans, and so we are touching base with the electorate every day now and then, seeing what we could do to help them. Yes, school has reopened. There were a lot of pressure on parents to be able to send their wards to schools. And the little we could do, we are doing to help alleviate the poverty they are in. And so we are doing quite good by the grace of God. The issues of flooding has been long addressed. It's only some few of the settlement issues that are still being attended to. And so generally, it looks good. The situation could not be better than it is in Accra and other places. And so we're also surviving. We are doing our best to live along.
All right, so three issues I just want to run by you for your quick thoughts. The first has to do with organized labor. And you know, UTAG, GUTA, even UTAG at a point has had cause to complain. And you know, there are myriad issues. But UTAG complaining essentially about the 15% VAT on electricity. The mother body, the umbrella body, TUC, has already threatened to upstage this by embarking on a massive industrial labor strike, if you like. That issue is there. We also know that the eco tax or eco levy has come into sharp focus, where if your vehicle is powered by diesel or fuel, petrol, I should say, you'll be paying anything from 75 cedis to over 300 cedis, depending on the type of vehicle you are using. There's also the issue of, in terms of our economy, right? Alan Chemating has been speaking to that, and he says the same person who told us we were proud people, would never go to the IMF and all of that, should not be claiming any work done, really. Should not be touting himself, claiming that we're on a path to recovery, as Ken Ofori-Atta has been doing. And he says it is not being honest. And finally, I mean, I'm leaving them for your reflection. You can choose one, you can choose all three, or two of them. Finally, the recent appointments and disappointments, if you like, disappointments in quotation marks, by Mr. President, DCEs among others. NALAG is unhappy because 6 women have lost their positions. We know that already women are few in our political setting, and now out of the 39, another 6 have been dropped, so 33 of them remaining. What do you make of those situations?
DC appointment and disappointment. I must state that my conference in Southern District has also been affected. Our DC Honorable Set, Kwesi Agbe, has also been replaced with Linford Kwesi Tete, popularly known as Supremo. In as much as I don't want to go into the details of whether it's just or not just, I will just wish the district all the best and pray that whoever the president deems fit and necessary to come in, we will welcome, and then pray that the constituency of the district becomes better. In generality, I find it not too pleasant looking at the times we are in. We are in February, March will soon come. I don't know how soon the district assemblies are yet to be inaugurated. I'm sure government even doesn't have funds to be able to inaugurate them, because originally it was supposed to be done on the 6th. Unfortunately, it's been taken again a week further to the 12th, and now new DCs have been appointed. If the inauguration comes on the 12th, I don't know how soon the assembly will reconvene again to look at the confirmation of the new DCE, how long it's going to take, knowing the situations that we sometimes face. People will go once, twice, and maybe on the 3rd occasion, and all those other things, before they get through. I'm just wondering how long it's going to take him to settle, and how long it's going to take him to do anything meaningful, even if there is anything to do. Generally, Ghana, like a lot of have said, or we have said, it's looking like a crime scene. Things are not going the way we all expect them to. These things are long overdue. People should have been reshuffled. They should have been reshuffled long ago. Now that it's coming so late, it's an injury time substitution. Most of them don't really make the impact you expect them to do. So it's a mixed bag. We are not too sure how things are going to be. The issue about NALAG and women participation, I of course, in as much as we want women to participate in our governance issues, I don't think that it should be a fiat, or it should be a free-for-all thing that whether you perform or not perform, just because you are a woman, you should be left sitting in there. I don't believe so. I am a man who believes in best practice, and I think that there are KPIs, key performance indicators, and so if you are not meeting them, why not? Why should you be kept there? People should be reviewed as we go along, and if there's a need for them to replace, why not? And so I won't cry basically because there are women who have been replaced. No, I won't. But just that I think that the whole situation, the communique, that came along, the wrong act was quoted, the president himself signed, hitherto is the secretary or something who signed, but now the president signs, and some typos and other things. At the point, some of us thought that it's a mafia tactics, that's just somebody who wanted the president to reshuffle. Somebody who wants the president to do reshuffle is not doing it, is the one who is writing these things. And it looks quite messy, because even originally it was 24 DCs who announced would have been sacked, but finally it is 26 new appointments that have been made. So when were the rest two also sacked? So the whole thing is just a mess. At the point I was there thinking it wasn't too bad. See, most of the newspapers flashing it this morning wants me to believe that it may be true, but it doesn't come too clear and too well for us. But that's the Ghana we are in, and you can't by just believe anything that comes out. Some are too much to believe, but that's what it is. And so we are running along with it. Now, about the TUC, about TEU, about UTAC, about all the labor union.
Can you hear me, Maxwell?
Yes, can you hear me too?
Yes, I can hear you. I just wanted to make a quick point. Yes, you may call it some affirmative action. I totally agree with what you've said, but also in the spirit of having more women in office, don't you feel that sometimes the weighing metrics should be massaged a bit, because already women don't have that interest in local politics, and we see in other jurisdictions where women are prominent in politics what the impact is versus what we have here. So don't you think that since their numbers, look at the entire number of appointees at the DCE level or the district level or the MCE level, how many women are in there? So if you take away 6 women, you may say, oh, it's 6. But how many are they in total? What is the impact versus the number of men? Are you looking at it from that angle too?
Not at all, Ben. I think that human beings are being appointed into offices, not necessarily gender. These women, we went to same school with them, we study same things, we are doing same things at work. And so beyond their biological and psychological issues, I think that generally we are same. I don't think that different marking schemes should be given to different gender at all times. I think most of them are even doing better than we are doing now. Don't we see them getting the best student awards these days in our universities and even other tertiary institutions? So it means that they are doing better or they are doing well. So why do we think that we should give them a lower scale because they are women? I don't think we're necessarily giving them a lower scale, but I think I get your point. I get the thrust of what you're saying. Yes. So my point is that yes, women should be looked at. They should be encouraged to go into politics. But once you don't meet the standard, why would you be kept there just because you are a woman? I think that is fair. We should all be given fair scale assessment. But then, men, if we think that they are not up to the task, people should help them succeed. I would do that if I have a woman around who needs my support in a way, I will do it. But at the end of the day, they should be marked equally. That's my point. So back to TUC, I hear government has agreed to withdraw the 15% VAT on electricity at the last meeting of the
cabinet.
Cabinet.
That is what we hear too, but whether it is actually the case is another point.
Yes, whether it's true or not true is the issue we want to be thinking about. But I'm sure that TUC has been so clear, has given timelines, has given indications that from today people should start wearing armbands red between now and 13th February if nothing critical or a written notification has not been circulated like they did to ECG to charge the 15%. If no other counter notification comes up, they will be going on the strike on 15th of February. And I'm sure that all of us will be ready to join them because sincerely, this is a killer task like most of the newspapers have reported this morning. And I'm not sure anybody will sit down and allow these things to happen. Yes, we are still a sovereign state and we should be able to manage our own affairs. Where were we when people were warning that we should stop flying private jets here and there, doing all the austerity or doing all the expenses that are off the route? People advised, nobody cared, and now we are here. Have the finance minister forgotten that he said we are sovereign states and that we are a proud nation and that we are not going to IMF? We are still same. So we want to live on, but they shouldn't kill us before trying to satisfy IMF conditionalities. No, as for the 50%, but I'm sure that the whole nation says, no, we are not going to agree, and so shall it be. So it's better government withdraws as we are hearing, so that TUC will not leave its threat of wanting to go to a nationwide strike. It's my prayer. So I hope that they rather listen, because they dribbled the whole parliament to pass the bill against the will of the minority, and here we are faced with the whole of the nation TUC. We should be able to show these things as and when we are not satisfied with the processes we see at the state level, so that as a people, once we think that something is not so good for us, we should be able to speak out and leave our threat and ensure that government listens to us. When we speak about the expenses, the extravagance they leave, and all those things, they don't listen. Now they want to do everything that will not allow them to do that.
Let's get into the papers now. The Daily Graphic newspaper this morning, it says, Jospong Russian University sign educational deal. Cement regulation takes effect. No new factories without license. Existing companies to re-register. VAT on electricity. ICU questions government's late engagement with Labour. There's also winners of Junior Graphic Essay competition receive prizes. 2024 edition launched. Now, which region is the cleanest? That's something that the Daily Graphic is taking up, and I don't really know, but Ghana hasn't exactly lived up to the billing of the cleanest city in Africa when it comes to different parts of the country. South Africa, Côte d'Ivoire reached semis in dramatic wins. South Africa in the very dying embers. Last gasp attempt, and that's how they were able to oust their contenders. I believe that was Mali. And then there's that is Côte d'Ivoire I'm speaking of. Then South Africa, they also, with their goalkeepers' heroics, kept out Cape Verde. And so that's the situation there. Ghana, we'll try our luck next time. We'll do our best next time. But the Ghana Standards Authority Manufacture of Cement Regulation 2023, LI 2480, has come into force in a significant move to ensure the quality and safety of cement products in the country. The new regulation, which was approved unanimously by members of parliament, sets stringent standards and guidelines for cement production to safeguard consumers and promote industry best practices. Now, the LI, which was gazetted on November the 23rd, took effect from December 22 last year, making it mandatory for any entity intending to manufacture cement to obtain a license before it could do so. Section 17.1 provides that, quote, a person shall not manufacture cement in the country unless the person has obtained a license in accordance with this regulation. It goes on, but we also know there are some entities, including those Chinese entities that were locked up at some point, some in Kumasi, in the Ashanti region last year. How we allow such sloppiness, slippages, knowing that these are going to be used for construction and that people's lives are involved, I do not know. Let me do the story on page 13 and then I'll let you in, Maxwell. So in that story, VAT on electricity, ICU questions government's late engagement with Labour. The Industrial and Commercial Workers Union has described the government's decision to engage organized labour on the introduction of 15% value-added tax on electricity as too late. It questioned why the government did not engage Labour before coming out with a letter asking the power distribution companies to begin the implementation of VAT on electricity, but only requested to engage when Labour raised concerns. Quote, why didn't they talk about engagement before coming out with this letter? Do you go and spoil things, muddy the waters? And when people are expressing concern, you are talking about engagement? The General Secretary of the ICU, Morgan Ayawine, said during an interaction with journalists in Accra. Now, in terms of strategy, Mr. Ayawina said the leadership intended to send circulars to its membership, namely companies and industries in readiness for the demonstrations on February the 13th, 2024. That is, if this cabinet's engagement doesn't turn out to be true, you will have organized labor hitting the streets and downing their tools. Your take?
Yeah, so thank you very much. I'm sure that we have had a bite on the 15% VAT issue, and we only pray that the news we're hearing that Cabinet has decided to down it is true. Beyond that, we are ready for the showdown, or whether it's going to be a show up. TUC is ready for a clash with government on this one. Now, just for educational partnership for science and technology, these are things we should be encouraging our private sector to go into. This gives opportunity to some younger ones of ours to venture into issues of waste management and its associated effects. There's so much value we can get from waste management, and Jospon is continually leading the way. Kudos to him. And we pray that a lot of us would want to venture into stray areas. These are things people frown on. Once it's waste, some people want to stay away from. But it's making so much money and capital out of this. And I'm sure that some of us, the younger ones, should learn from some of these things and help in managing the environment. It gets to the core of our heart, that is environmental management. And so I will encourage him to do more and encourage the younger ones to do same. About this cement manufacturing, it is heartening to hear that even up to this stage in our lives as a country, people just go into production without certification and all that. And it's better late than never. It's just surprising that people can do that. We hear the collapse of buildings and major structures day in, day out. And the effect it brings on us as a people is so dire. A number of people dying and people's livelihoods have been lost. So much money go to waste. And for us, a lot of us, it is business as usual. So many types of cement in the market, different grades. We are not even too educated about which grade does what. We just go to the market, get the cheapest in the market, buy, and go and use for any other thing. We should be educated to know that it depends on the type of work, whether it's rendering or plastering, as we usually call it, the type of cement you have to use, the grade. If it is concrete work, the type of cement you have to use. Depending if it is block work, the type of grade you have to. There are different shades and grades of cement that we have to employ. But whether we are being educated to know this is another matter. People just miss clinker and other things and produce cement and bring to the market. And because of the high cost, sometimes over 98 cedis as we speak for a bag of cement. So people will go for one that is going for 50 Ghana because they would want to put up a dwelling place. Rents are so high. And so many things mix up and people end up killing themselves earlier than they should have. So it is good that we are standards authority is coming in and trying to make sure that it puts its feet down to ensure that the right things are done so that we can safeguard our own lives. The AFCON thing, it was so heartbreaking.
Maxwell, did you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes, I said very quickly the AFCON bit because I didn't think you would go there. We have limited time, so go ahead.
The AFCON, yes, I don't know whether Ghanaians are happy or sad, but I actually was hoping that Cape Verde would go through because they are minnows, they came in, they beat a lot of giants, and I was expecting that they could go further so that we would have something good coming from them. But unfortunately, I'm sure that they have not been well trained when it comes to the penalty taking, and so a lot of them has been saved by the South Africa goalkeeper. Kudos to him. He's done so well, and I'm proud of him. As for Cote d'Ivoire, I really wanted them kicked out. I really wanted them kicked out because it started poorly. And fortunately for them as a host nation, they have a lot of support and they are getting through. I am happy for them though, but I really wanted them out. I also wanted Cape Verde to go through.
Right.
But unfortunately, that's the result we are getting.
I think we share that. I did want Cape Verde to proceed. I love underdog stories.
Yes.
One of those black sheep of the tournament, and I think it's hard. They were hard done by. I don't know about not preparing for penalties. There's no team that doesn't prepare for penalties. I also did want Côte d'Ivoire kicked out because they started very poorly. So I think we're on the same page there. A quick few ones before I leave the Daily Graphic, and then we'll make the most of the time left with the other papers. In politics, big issue, change of election dates. That's on page 17 of the Daily Graphic. What do people think? So this is an opinion. Gilbert says the EC's, and I'm just picking little points from them, the EC's proposals to change the polling date from December 7 to November 7 and make the same a holiday. Is there a compelling case for a new polling date now? And should the election day be made public holidays? For me, the main justification that a new date will enable the EC more time to adequately prepare for especially runoff elections is key. However, what prevented the new EC leadership from engaging in wider stakeholder consultations and public education prior to this announcement? Was it on the back of just the SDA coming to say, this is our sacred day and XYZ? Then there's Solomon Abiam. So that first one was Gilbert, a political science lecturer at the UEW. Solomon Abiam is a PhD student at the University of Ghana. He says, examining the years since the 1992 Constitution, the December 7 date has posed challenges, particularly in cases of elections leading to a runoff. The limited time between the initial election and runoff creates undue pressure on the EC, political parties, and others. He calls for a review of the legal framework and says it is essential. John Makija is an adjunct lecturer. He says, the discussion between IPAC and the EC to move the election date from December 7 to November is a step in the right direction. It's also an excellent idea to declare the day of voting a holiday. And finally, when it comes to Vida Ugan, who's a court clerk, she says, firstly, a comprehensive public awareness campaign should be launched to inform citizens about the proposed changes, ensuring widespread understanding. Political parties should actively engage with their members to gauge sentiments and provide a platform for concerns to be voiced. It goes on, but I just felt it was interesting to pick the thoughts of ordinary Ghanaians on those matters. Then, to wrap on the international front, Namibia's president dies at 82, and our condolences. We condole with our brother and sister Namibians. Opposition leaders reject postponement of Senegal election. You see, we are seeing things happen with Macky Sall in Senegal. We'll do them. We'll be quiet. A tija. We'll be here. A jita. Then will come ECOWAS. You see how it is? You see what is happening in Senegal? Same situation like what we saw in Côte d'Ivoire. He saw the third term, didn't work. Then he put some mechanisms in place. Now he said he wants to select who will replace him. Why would you want to do that? I've engaged Macky Sall before, okay? But why would you want to do that? And is it to say why do you want to handpick, okay? ECOWAS will say nothing about that. I'm not justifying coup d'etats, but I'm saying that our leaders, our very own leaders, because of their actions, that is why people are doing what they are doing. These military incursions, you keep quiet. None of them, have you heard them speak on the Senegal situation? But let something happen there. Oh, and this and that. Piss poor leadership, ECOWAS. Piss poor leadership. I said it. There's Republican bill provides more military aid to Israel, and Iran says U.S. strikes are a strategic mistake. I need your quick reflections in not more than a minute, and then we go to other papers, Maxwell.
Yeah, sure. So on the change of election dates, like most people have said, beyond giving it enough and ample time to the EC to prepare and do a runoff in case it occurs, I really don't see why this EC would want to do this in a rush. It was a proposal that was made by the NDC some time back, went to Parliament, it was shut down. Now that the EC wants to re-engage us on it, why is it taking time to begin to work around this during an election year? So people may ask, is it just because SDA came out to say that that's their secretary day, they will be going for service, for which reason it has to be changed? So if the traditionalists also come to say that Friday is not good for us, Christians say Sunday is not good for us. Others say other days are not good for us. Will the issue continually change? And so for me, we think that this thing should be done at a broader level. There should be a better and a wider consultation for us to come to terms with it. And this thing should be done far ahead of the election year. There are several other things that the issue should be engaged in now that we are in election year to make sure that we have a better organized election come December 2024, rather than this knee-jerk reaction for whichever reason they are doing it. We are not too sure. Tailing into this Senegal election, like you have just said, we see some of these things and we keep quiet over them. President Konadu continually saying that he will make sure he will do everything within his power to make sure that Bawumia wins. Nobody talks about this. Whether he's going to rig, whatever he's going to do, whatever he doesn't want to do, we are all listening and nobody is complaining about it. The same thing we are experiencing in Senegal. And for me, the earlier we begin to speak about some of these things and nip them in the bud, the better it will be for us. But we keep quiet with what this is. Like you said, when it happens, they say ECOWAS is going to deploy. We are still waiting for their deployment to Niger. Have they lost their way? The last night I heard they were in Nigeria, they wanted to take off and then something happened they couldn't do. They are going to give us a new date. We have been waiting up to now. If they are men, they should go. Some of these things, we should be able to call them out and make sure that the right things are done from the beginning. Why should we allow people to take us for a ride? It's so nauseating, to say the least.
Initiative. JustBong offers 600 scholarships to students, partners, RUDU and university to train them abroad in next 5 years. Partner government to exploit gold deposits in dollar power, lands minister to investors. I don't want to comment on this matter. If I start on that trajectory, I may say things. Let me leave it there. TUC threatens nationwide demo February 13. Government calls for dialogue. We've spoken about that. President replaces 26 district municipal chief executives. We've also spoken about that. Carpenter jailed 10 years for defiling 13-year-old girl. I'll do that story. Now, the gender-based violence court has sentenced a 23-year-old carpenter to 10 years imprisonment for having sex with a 13-year-old girl at Ashalaja in the Greater Accra region. Christopher Kavi, charged with defilement, pleaded guilty and was convicted on his plea and sentenced by the court. Now, prosecuting Detective Chief Inspector Opoku Enieje said the complainant was a trader and mother of the girl. The prosecution said Kavi, the complainant, and the victim resided in the same vicinity at Ashalaja, and that the accused was a friend of the complainant. That's a very sad development. Sand winner gets 2 years for stealing 37 cattle, and policeman interdicted over alleged assault. Now, the Ghana Police Service has interdicted a policeman for allegedly assaulting an individual at Takoradi in the Western Region. A news brief from the police and General Corporal Wise Bessie, stationed at the Takoradi District Police Command, had been interdicted to allow a thorough investigation into the incident and the professional conduct of the policeman in accordance with police service regulations. We see too many of these happen, and sometimes you're passing by, you see certain incidents, they feel once you have the navy blue on, you are above the law or you can do certain things. I'm very happy that nowadays I see them stop, even when they are on their motorbikes. They stop at the traffic lights, because initially you would see them go through and then you wonder, wait, when others, the Okadas and the rest go through, why do you stop them when you yourself don't stop at red lights? But now you see them doing that. I still see the police visibility around, which is a good thing, but the professionalism, there's still a lot that ought to be done. And I'm still waiting for the PPSB. Some reports I took there till today. Said then Ombema my response. I don't know. I went there a number of times. There was an instance with me personally, with my director, after doing the probe, sitting in for MFR Powell over a year ago. That issue has not gone anywhere. We stopped going because we knew what it was. If they wanted to know, they would have used CCTV cameras and they would have found what details were there. But no. If we'll get the response today, I don't know. So that's one story there. Then the Daily Guide. Government drops 15% killer ECG VAT. That's according to the Daily Guide. We cannot individually confirm that because we have been told by Labour that they will still embark on the strike unless there's a formal communication on that matter. Lands Commission revenue up 12%. And then I'll just wrap with this. Economy Times. Ghana ends 2023 with GIR of 2.7 months of import cover. Any quick reflections, and then we're gone.
Yeah, sure. So,
do you want me to go over the issues for you? Do you want me to go over them for you?
No, I'm okay. The police assault case and then the interdiction. I want to commend the IGP Dampare. He personally, I feel that he's doing quite so well when it comes to policing in Ghana. He's making it more simpler. He's making it better. He's making it look friendlier. I see police officers on the road every now and then. I interact with them more. And I was one person who would lash at the police for their ineptitude. I was on record to have organized a demonstration against them when we lost an assemblyman in Sogakope. And I had strong words for them. I am happy to say that now I see a lot of good coming out of the police service. Kudos to Dampare and the police service. Whoever is helping to make things better, kudos to them. The elections, yes, we have seen a lot more things happening in elections. But for the Yendi case, I was surprised to see them standing there and they were even nearly linked. Katie Hammond gave them strong words. And yes, I like the gesticulation of the police officer, the commander, who was trying to explain to him. But I think that they should have taken it a notch higher, not allow him to make those loose statements and then just going just because he's a minister of state. No. And so Lands Commission up its revenue. Yes, I am a land person. That's my sector. And so I'm happy when good things happen within the sector. I'm sad when the issues of bribe, the issues about overhike of statutory fees and all those things happen within the sector. And so if we're able to do something, kudos to my colleagues in the land sector, and we pray that we revolutionize the system and make things work better. A lot of people complain about how long it takes them to register their land, how much money they have to pay to be able to get these things through.
Right, the red tape.
There are a lot of... Say that again.
The red tape, the bureaucracy, right.
It's not necessarily the bureaucracy. This is the behind-the-scenes things that happen within the sector.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. It adds to the red tape.
That's what you call the bureaucracy. But people, maybe you are supposed to pay about 400 cedis for a service. You end up paying about 1,000 to 1,005. And so people complain so much about these things, and it's a dent on us as managers of the land, which is a very necessary asset of the country. And so it's good we shake ourselves and make sure that we put in better mechanisms and systems to do some of these things for our people. And so kudos to the managers of the land sector.
All right. Thank you, Maxwell. I'll just cap off with this. Economy Times, Ghana's trade surplus drops marginally. Government records 3% deficit end year. And the new finder just waiting again. We're not taking any further commentary, but just adding to what you said about the Lands Commission. No Ghana card, no service. Lands Commission hints as it launches 5-year strategic business plan. Thank you for watching. If you're celebrating your birthday today, we celebrate you as well. May God bless you and grant you, well, your heart's desires according to His will. It must always be in accordance with God's will. Maxwell, thank you so much for joining. I wish you a good morning.
Thank you so much and have a good day.
Maxwell Lukuto is the NDC's parliamentary candidate-elect for South Tone. He has been a guest. Before we go, I don't know which one. I don't speak for the sports team, but I know they'll bring you AFCON action. I do not know, but something I was excited about, Joshua Boakye versus Dan Aziz. And Joshua Boakye, of course, with Ghanaian roots. He beat Dan Aziz. That was an interesting fight. But before we veer into sports, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic offering you free prostate screening if you're a man, free fertility screening if you're a woman. Just reach out to them at any of their branches here in Accra. Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. There's Kumasi Kronoma Boy here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Anaji State Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa in Esiamanzama. Their call lines 0244-867-068 or 0274-234-321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. The end to chronic disease. Sports is up next on the AM Show.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. We're bringing you stories from Team Ghana's campaign ahead of the African Games that starts on March 8. And on February 8, the athletes will be moved to Legon, where they will test the facilities. We'll also be talking about the African Cup of Nations quarter-final, how 10-man Côte d'Ivoire reached the semi-final of the competition. South Africa also making that last for the first time since 2000. First, let's start with the Team Ghana's preparations for the African Games 2023. The Minister of Youth and Sports, Mustafa Yusuf, paid them a visit last week, Friday, and he says that he's excited with what he's seen so far, and also revealed that the athletes will be given the needed support to ensure that they fly high the flag of Ghana when they participate in the games. My colleague Lawrence Bedu was there and comes through with this report.
The Minister of Youth and Sports, Mustafa Yusuf, says he's excited with preparations for Ghana's athletes and coaches so far ahead of the games. 11 sporting disciplines are currently camping at the Cape Coast Stadium and the University of Cape Coast ahead of the games. Boxing, arm wrestling, athletics, weightlifting, handball and basketball are some of the disciplines in camp. The minister toured their base on Thursday to ascertain the progress of the respective teams with just little over a month to go until the competition begins. Addressing the press after his visit, the Member of Parliament for Yagba Kubore expressed delight in what he saw at the team's base.
I'm so excited and happy about what I've seen, and the athletes and officials themselves testified that this is the first time they are having a long duration of camping in the history of Ghana, where they are having opportunity to camp for a very long period, and also even with improved facilities and conditions of service, where they are camping and everything. They are so happy. Once they are happy, I'm also happy. I came here to ensure that they've arrived and they are happy. From the indication, and I told all those facilities with you, both the officials and the athletes themselves have indicated that they are very excited and they are happy. I'm equally happy.
The minister also added that the athletes will soon be moving to the University of Ghana to continue their camping. According to him, being closer to the Games Village will give them the opportunity to train at the new facilities and mark to host the Africa Games next month.
They started camping. They arrived here in Cape Coast 19th January. They will be here until we move them to University of Ghana. They will continue their camping there. We'll have what we have scheduled for 20 days countdown to the games, where the Ghana Team Ghana will have opportunity of testing the new facilities that we have built, so that they'll get used to those facilities. So on the 8th of February, Team Ghana will be moved to University of Ghana so that they can have those facilities for them to be able to train. Then they will continue their camping there till we move them to the Games Village to start the tournament or the competition itself.
Some of the athletes who were present during the visit extended their appreciation to the minister for the continuous support and promised to repay the country with medals.
With the help of our coaches, we say that we wouldn't let you down. We are doing our best, and you know we are also doing the best for us. So expect the best from us. Thank you.
Thank you.
For the first time, we have a good ground for training with all mats fixed, and then we have air conditioning, because all the time we train under the heat, and then when we go to the competition venue, there's air conditioning, and then we struggle. So it's like this time we are acclimatizing with everything, and then we get ready to fight.
Thank Ghana team and the ministries and Honorable Mustafa Yusuf, because as coaches, I'll not say more, but coach have said it all. Team Ghana, we are coming, no long talk, follow no road. Our coaches know the road, so we are following them. That it is what it is.
Ufuria Sari, who is the coach for the Black Bombers, also assured Ghanaians the boxing team will be aiming for more medals when the competition begins.
We know that Africa is coming to Ghana, and we cannot sit down here for them to come and walk over us. So we know the task is very, very big, because it is like there is a pressure on us, and so we are making all effort to make things happen.
Some of the disciplines engaged in demonstration drills for the visiting minister. The games are scheduled to begin on March 8th with the closing ceremony set for March 23.
Let's talk about the Black Stars now, and instructor-man head coach and former Black Stars assistant coach Maxwell Konadu. He has submitted his application to replace Chris Houghton as the head coach of the senior national team. Maxwell Konadu, who has been part of the technical team of the Black Stars since 2012, when he was appointed assistant to Kwesi Appiah for the 2013 AFCON and 2014 FIFA World Cups, and also maintained his role when the likes of Avram Grant came in to occupy the position of head coach. He believes that he's got the experience to lead the senior national team. Maxwell Konadu, according to sources, submitted his application during the window that the Ghana Football Association opened to have interested candidates apply for the Black Stars coaching job. Maxwell Konadu has got about 10 or 12 years experience in the national team, and he feels he's in a position to be able to lead the Black Stars. One area, however, that makes it near impossible for him to be considered for a coaching role is the fact that one of the criteria for applying for the Black Stars coaching job put out by the Ghana Football Association was for a coach with a UEFA Pro license. However, Maxwell Konadu does not have that. He believes that despite not having the right qualification required by the Ghana Football Association to lead the senior national team, one of the things sources have told Joy Sports is the fact that a UEFA Pro license is for UEFA coaches, and that the most qualified coach for African football is CAF License A, which is a certificate he currently holds. Another indigent to have applied for the coaching job is former Bibiani Gold Stars head coach and Kumasi Asante Kotoko head coach Michael Ose. They've all applied for the Black Stars coaching job. The GFA closed the window for those interested to apply for the job on February 2, and they are expected to start sorting out the coaches effective this week. Now to the African Cup of Nations itself, where 10-man Côte d'Ivoire came from behind to win 2-1 in extra time and make it to the semi-final of the competition. South Africa also won 4-2 on 4-1 on penalties to qualify to the semi-final of the tournament for the first time since 2000. Now let's take a look at the semi-final fixtures in this ongoing African Cup of Nations as South Africa makes the last four for the first time since 2004. Hugo Bruce seeking to write the history he wrote with Cameroon in 2017, using an unfancied side to win the tournament, and now he wants to do the same with South Africa. That's a team prior to this tournament were considered outsiders. They will come up against Nigeria. 20 times they've been to the African Cup of Nations, 16 times they've made it to the semi-final of the competition. That's the story of Nigeria. And Côte d'Ivoire, they comes up against DR Congo. They have won the African Cup of Nations 2 times, 1992 and 2015. On those occasions, they came up against Ghana and winning it via a marathon penalty shootout. Congo, per statistics, they've never lost an AFCON semi-final since they started participating in the tournament. And Nigeria, too, has never lost against South Africa. We wait to see what happens on Wednesday and Thursday when the semi-final of the African Cup of Nations takes place.
We gave an ultimatum of 31st January, which elapsed on on Wednesday. We gave that ultimatum to government to withdraw that letter. As we speak today is 2nd, we have not seen any letter withdrawing that directive. In between the time we issued this statement and now, ECG itself has come out to say that they are not ready to even implement this kind of VAT. But that's not our matter. It's between them and their government. This afternoon we met to, in that statement, we said if by 31st, government had not withdrawn this directive to ECG and NEDCO, we will meet here and we will advise ourselves. So this afternoon, we have met here and we have advised ourselves. It is that advice that we are going to communicate to the press. Our advice is very simple. We have advised ourselves that this government is taking Ghanaians for granted. And so we are going to lead a very massive demonstration in all the regional capitals, the 16 regional capitals of Ghana, on the 13th of February. That will be Tuesday. That is this Tuesday's week. We have taken this decision firmly, and we have appointed a committee to plan it.
Welcome back on the AM show. We talk now about our big stories, starting with that one where organized labor is actually threatening to lay down their tools and to demonstrate on February the 13th. There is no confirmation yet about that. Well, we've heard from the grapevine where supposedly cabinet has met and decided they wouldn't go along with the VAT on electricity, 15%. But the matter is that what will stand? And beyond that, we want to find out if they take this off, what will be the replacement, right? Where will it go? Definitely, government will seek some money. But where will they get the money from? Well, joining the conversation this morning, we have Samson Asaki Awengobit. He is the Executive Secretary, Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana. We also have in there joining us the GUTA president, Dr. Joseph Obing. Both of them join us for a conversation. Let me start with Samson Asaki Awengobit. Mr. Awengobit, a very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you, and good morning to your viewers, and happy New Year, I think, for the year 2024. This is the first time we are engaging ourselves on the platform.
Well, thank you very much, and a happy New Year to you, too. Let me just quickly find out, from the standpoint of you, the Executive Secretary, Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, how do you find all of this latest development about 15% VAT on electricity? I've heard some of you talk about the eco-levy, that tax, among other things. Give me a background to what the position of your group is on that matter.
I think the government is not in touch on the ground with the Ghanaian people, because the government of Ghana has, the ruling government has a social contract with the people of Ghana. And if the government promises us in 2016 that they were going to be a government friendly and we are going to be a listening government, then at the end of the day, 7 years down the lane, you are introducing policies. Even in an electionary year, you are introducing policies. It is nobody who's cursing the government, but the government itself doesn't think well. And perhaps, as I said elsewhere, that it looks like the government, this current government, has eroded all the lucrative ideas that they think they had, and they were well prepared to serve this nation. You have introduced border tax, you have introduced pollution tax, then you come back to say you're introducing emission tax, you're coming back to introduce VAT on electricity. Remember that the government has forgotten that anything that will have to go to any of the utilities tariff, anything in terms of tariff or taxes on, you have to go through the PURC. As you speak, all of us collectively, the PURC has remained removed, as if they have any role in playing. Remember, that is their core mandate legally. Before you even add a peso in of the utility tariff, right, PURC should be communicated. And so, of course, I I think another person said that the organized labor has really pampered the government, like we, the Traders Association, to have pampered the government. So anything that the government think overnight, anything that the finance minister or anybody whisper into the ears of the finance minister, then they bring it as a tax, and we sit aloof, we remain quiet, we do not demonstrate to show the government that no, we don't think we are treating the ordinary Ghanaians well. For the past 7 years, what has been accumulatively, what has been the percentage increment in worker salary? Nothing. I remember the last time there was a cola taxes that the government introduced to workers. The government said, I've increased you a percentage. Then the following day, before they implement, they say, I will withdraw your cola. That it means you haven't done anything to the worker, the Ghanaian worker. And so the Ghanaian worker has been suffering for the past 7 years because if I say they are suffering, they say, I don't know, you take your salary, you go to the market to buy goods. And when anything that affects the traders, sometimes you see organized labor, TUC, ICU, and the Federation of Labor, the system where they don't, when we are talking about taxes on the business community, they don't foresee it that these taxes that the business community are raising, if the government succeeded implementing it at the port, at the border level, and the factory, then your members who will draw their monthly salary, which for the past 6 years, we don't see any significant percentage increment of salaries, they will use their scanty money to go to the market and buy and package goods or services. And so if you haven't fought hard, if any time, good time, import and export association, food and beverages, AGI, Chamber of Commerce, we are raising issues that there is a cost all on the manufacturing side, all on the business community. And because of that, if government doesn't take care, Ghanaians will suffer. Then we expect TUC, we expect ICU to de-escalate the issue, the conversation, to say yes, because for a number of years now you've been in government, you haven't given any significant increment of salary. Remember, the latter part of 2023, if not for, and I'm sure I'm happy that my very good senior comrade, Dr. Ode, is on the other side, they will tell you that sales was deep in from January, month by month, over 40% loss of revenue. It was just the latter part of December, the 3 weeks or the 2 weeks to December to January. That was where we saw a little bit up in market search, and I'm sure we saw a little bit traffic in towns, in shopping malls. That was the only thing. After January, you sit down, businesses sales has dropped again because people have spent their scanty surplus income that they had. And mind you, I'm not quite sure, I have not heard anywhere that government had given youth bonuses to staff, to workers through the latter part of 2023. So I can tell you, now that you now want to bring in VAT 50% on, what do you call it? You said what? Those who consume more than the lifeline. What's the term they use? They use some term like that. Those people will be affected. Look, automatically, if you sleep in a 2-bedroom house, if you have a television, if you have your wife happens to have a fridge or deep freezer, you go beyond what they are talking about. So 99.1% of Ghanaians were all going to be affected on this, on this, except maybe those who are in the slumber areas where you see, if you are driving on the motorway, you see these kiosk people. Perhaps they are the people that you have seen that they will not be part. But 99 point something, a greater number of Ghanaians were going to be affected.
Right.
So, collectively, all of us were in shit. Meanwhile, the authority that's supposed to say, we are increasing tariff, we are not increasing tariff, PURC, sit quietly as if they're not concerned about the debate. I'm happy that the ECG boss himself came and said, everyone we were talking about, the government has not written to them, so they don't even know the way out. I was happy. And I think someone like Anyagba, who is the communication director of the MPP, said the ECG boss was out of order. He was not out of order. He was telling you that I don't have the authority to wake up and say I'm implementing VAT on household consumers, because the only authority that will give me the power to do that is the PURC. The PURC represents Ghanaians' voices. And I don't think, I want to draw PURC to this conversation as to whether, when the minister was thinking about this, when the finance minister was going to parliament to look for 50% VAT on residential consumption, were they consulted? And after the minister got this thing passed in parliament, has he written to the PURC to say engage the stakeholders. Or until Ghanaians raise, then you can say what against the stakeholders. I think this government has exhausted all the ideas. They have no any innovative ideas, and the best thing is this government will have to go and leave us. Enough is enough.
All right. That's been quite a little tirade, if you like, a lengthy one. But I want us to hit on some critical issues. First off, though, you mentioned that, and just to clarify, because I do not think I have that statistic, you say with the implementation of that, we know that, yes, with how wide the net is, and if you look at the lifeline consumers, now it's been brought to 30 or so kilowatt hours, then it means that a lot more people are going to be affected. But I don't know about the 99.1% you're speaking of. I think that is a pretty high estimate, and we cannot independently corroborate that.
Okay.
But if you say that a large chunk of Ghanaians will be affected, that is fine. Have you conducted any study that gives you the 99.1%?
We do not. I have just given you a scenario. I said, if anybody who's living on a 2-bedroom house, where you have an air condition, where you have a television, where you have a fridge or a diffuser, mind you, you are automatically cut into this world.
I mean, if you mention certain, we know that basically for those on Lifeline, the Lifeline consumers, you'd probably use 2 bulbs and maybe a TV. Even that would take you off. So if you're adding an AC or a deep freezer and all of that, obviously you are not going to fall into that bracket. So I don't think it's a fair analogy, because those on the, I'm saying this because the Lifeline consumers may be listening to what you're saying and assume that the 99.1% is, factual. It is what the statistic is, and that they are going to be affected as much. That is why I just want us to put it into context, so it doesn't come across as a statistical figure when it really isn't. But how difficult is it, especially importing into the country right now, in terms of the different taxes and all that? I pose this question in context, even before we talk about the VAT on electricity, the eco tax and everything in there. Because I have heard, recently someone was telling me, I've forgotten how much he mentioned, but he purchased a 4-wheel vehicle for a few $1,000s, very few $1,000s. And he told me that he was selling it off for about 250,000 cedis. And I asked, wait, this amount of money versus the 250,000, why this disparity? Then he goes on to tell me about how much it took him to clear the vehicle, other things he had to pay for, and all the other bits, in addition to hardware issues. But if you look at what he spent on hardware and DVLA and everything, it's a pittance compared to what he had to pay at the ports. So my question is, to import anything into this country now, how serious a situation is it, before we get into the taxes and other bits?
My brother, it is a disaster. If you are an importer, be it you are doing a commercial basis or you are even importing a vehicle to use yourself, you should pay yourself that the amount of vehicle that you are buying from Europe, you are going to pay 4 or 5 times of that. So It's even better.
If you're telling me if you're purchasing
your car, it's even.
Samson, you're telling me if you're purchasing a vehicle for $5,000, people bid for vehicles and all of that, you should expect to pay in the end about 20,000, 25,000. Is that what you're saying?
But the gentleman just told you that he paid the car about 5,000, isn't it?
No, I didn't mention a figure.
Ghana paid over 200,000.
I said a few thousand. I didn't mention because I had forgotten the figure.
Okay, well, whatever. Okay, so whatever. So what it means is that if you're even picking a vehicle in Europe, let's say maybe $10,000 or $15,000 or whatever, if you come to Ghana to play it, you use more than 60% of that amount to pay.
More than how much?
In the form of a duty, and that's for a fact.
I missed that.
The reasons are that because,
I missed what you said
I
about.
said you use more than 60% of that amount, total amount that you used to pay. I said you use more than 60% to pay for that car. That it is the amount of $15,000. That's what I said. And I'm raising the issue that the reasons are that because the government withdraw the total 30% SUV discount that they used to give to automobile importers before. You know, on the benchmark values, it was 30% for vehicles and then 50% for general commodities. Okay, and so that 30% discount that they would have given to you, assuming you pick the vehicle $20,000 US, they would have given you 30% discount of SUV cost before they would then add. Before they would then now assess you to pay the duty. And so that is why before then, I said last time, Toyota Yaris or Toyota Vic used to pay, let's say, maybe some used to pay, let's say, 7,000, at the worst, perhaps 14,000 or whatever to pay the duty. But when the Toyota benchmark value was reversed, you then see these cars paying over 40,000, 50,000 as in the form of duty. And so if you go to the market to buy such a car today, it's not costing you less than 90,000 to 100,000. That's the reality. This Civic, what they call them?
Honda Civic.
Honda Civic, CRV, or what do they call it?
The CRV,
yes.
right.
If you are going to buy such a car today in the Ghanaian market, if you don't hold 300,000, you won't get it. Meanwhile, this car used to be costing between 1.5 to, let's say, 200. But suddenly, because of the duty component, it has shot up like 300,000. If you want to buy that car today, you have to pick off 300,000 or even at some point, even more. That is the reality. And those who used to import frozen food and other things and pay tomato paste, go ahead and pay like 80,000. Suddenly, their duties have also shot up. Let's say 200,000, 300,000. That is the fact of the matter. That is why we saw people diverting their cargoes to Ivory Coast. And it's as a result of this, the VAT increment, you have reversed the benchmark values. You have also upped the VAT, which used to be 12.5 to 15%. Adding get fund, adding COVID-19 levy, adding whatever of you add only VAT alone is running to probably about 22 point something at the point. That's it. So if you have an invoice value of 100,000, they are not taking 22% straight away from you. No. I think the last time I took you through the system of calculation. If it is a car, the car is a brand new car, and let's say the car value is $100,000. They are using, they will take 5% because it's a fresh car, 5% import of the 100,000. Then they'll add it back to the 100,000. Maybe it could be 120,000, 150,000. Because if the 5% should be given that figure. Then they will now take you 50%, or even before the 50%, they will have taken you get fund 2.5, added back. They will tell you health insurance 2.5, added back. The COVID levy that will fund that is supposed to go off the books, that they didn't take it off. They will take the COVID levy as well, added back. Then they will now calculate the 50% currently. It used to be 12.5, now 5%, added back. And if you are an importer who hasn't registered with GRA, then they will come and take another 2.5% upfront VAT. You remember that tax that it was what? That's a part of last year.
Right.
In our second quarter of last year, so that the government introduced the upfront tax. These are taxes that the government have really introduced. And get fund before this government came into existence in 2017. If you used to bring cargo to Ghana port, if you were paying VAT, the VAT, the get fund, and the health insurance were all one component. So if I have a cargo that is costing me, if I have a cargo that is costing me 100,000, and it used to be 17% or 75%, you take it over the 100,000 straight away. But these people decouple it. They went to Parliament and decouple their fund to be on its own. Decouple health insurance to be on its own. So in calculating the stamp that they used to calculate the duty, increases the cost of doing your businesses in the port. And that's why everybody's crying. Everybody completely is crying. Even including Kennedy in Japan, Mr. Sodan. They are all crying. They can't. Dr. Obe will come on every show. He will tell you what used to be his invoice and what is his invoice for now. It is something that is not a non-starter because the government really told us that deceivers. The government was a deceived government. Because the government promised business community that I was going to be a business friendly. I'm not quite sure today if His Excellency, my senior brother, Dr. Bamoya, will go to the market today to talk to business community about what he will do in terms of taxes for the business community. They will listen. Because everyone thinks that we have been deceived. 2 times, we thought only the first year. But the second time, even when to election, you still want to push tax on our truth, emission tax. You still want to push emission tax after taking pollution.
You still want to push VAT on our throat on election year. I do not know where these ideas suddenly are coming from. This is why the businesses have lost touch with the government. We strongly believe that this is not the way to go. This is not just the way.
We'll get into...
If you compare Ghanaian businesses with somebody doing business in Africa, if you compare Ghanaian business with someone doing business in Nigeria today, they are far better. And I'm not even going to talk of Togo. For someone to come and say Togo is even a free port. But that is the reality on the ground.
Yes, and of course, I've been in Togo a few times over these last few years. Even in the thick of things, they were subsidizing fuel and all that. The cost of living in Togo is nothing compared to the cost of living in Ghana. But so you make mention of this plethora of taxes and everything in between. How do you feel, though? I just have a question. The computation of 5% on the original sum before some other taxes are slapped on. Some have always said that it is double taxation. Are you of that same opinion? You remember you started talking about the 5% that is compounded on the 100% before the others are calculated. How do you feel about that? And do you feel that that system of taxation ought to be changed? Hello, Samson.
Yes. So is it if yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Samson. Go ahead.
Good. So even if I had picked what do you call it, the tax bill, we would have even seen where government is even collecting net interest on VAT. After taking your health insurance tax or get fund 2.5 get fund tax on the tax bill at the port, there's a portion where they will say net interest of VAT, net interest of get fund, net interest of health insurance. After the 2.5, they are charging net interest. These are all tax components. And that is why we say we now pay the 22 tax bill. If you pay the current tax bill now, the taxes that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 22. That's what. So sometimes you ask yourself that, but you've taken me VAT. Then you come to say VAT, net interest of VAT. What does that mean? So quite clearly, the PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, the Deloitte and Touche, and IPMC or whatever, all these tax institutions, I strongly believe that one of these days, bring Asake, bring Dr. Ben, let us find out from them. If they have, some of them have probably cleared out 1 or 2 items from the port, and they have seen the BOL, the tax bill, and they have looked at it. What is their professional advice? Okay. Is this not double taxation?
Well,
that's really the reality is there.
Let me bring in Dr. Joseph Obeng. We do know that in recent times, you mentioned, I think you meant KPMG when you said IPMC, KPMG. But in recent times, PricewaterhouseCoopers has spoken about the effect of taxation, that a lot of businesses are actually going out and now producing outside and exporting the products that they were producing here from those countries into Ghana. The PricewaterhouseCoopers in its Africa report came out with that. Hold your horses.
And that is not. And yes, and that is as a result of the. If you go to AGI side, they also have a challenge on the cost of utility tariff that is affected, and that is why I am so saddened that going out of the we need to see Nestle Ghana, we need to see Unilever and other producing Pepsi and others are decided rather to bring Pepsi in Nigeria, Unilever Nigeria to Ghana. When they have the lines here, when they're supposed to produce it here. So that is, they are also closing down production lines and then bringing finished product to show up what the, so what it means is that
the point is made.
Even after total reversal of Benga values, Ghanaian manufacturers could not produce up to optimum or maximum because they still are walloping with the cost of doing business as a result of utility tariff killing industries in this country.
All right. Thank you very much for making that point. Mr. Asake, we're going to have to make the submissions bite-sized so we can cover enough ground. Let me go to Dr. Joseph Obeng. Dr. Obeng, thank you very much for joining the conversation. GUTA, the Ghana Union of Traders Association, how are you faring in terms of what you do, trading?
Yeah, we've been talking about cost of doing business and it is actually not helping us in terms of payment of duty, in terms of payment of taxes, especially the challenges that we have with the VAT structure is not helping the cost of trading at all. And so then if you think about inflation, it has eaten up the purchasing power of the consuming public. And so it also affects the rate of turnover that we used to enjoy. And so this is the state of doing business now. Now, the indicators are getting right, and we expect that we do things that will help us sustain the gains that we are having. And unfortunately, the government keep piling the taxes that will come and then halt this the gains that we are having. And that's why we are talking against the new taxes, because at least we are able to achieve exceedingly our revenue targets. So if this electricity tax and then emission is a form of enhancement of the revenue collection, then of course we are just thinking about revenue without thinking about productivity, because government itself knows that we cannot overtax ourselves out of production. And that is what exactly what is happening.
Do you think we've got there? Do you think we've got to the point of overtaxation, taxing business into the ground? Have we got there?
Our produce is not competitive. It means that the taxes that we pay is overdoing is making our productivities overpriced. You cannot.
So please, I want my question answered. Are we being overtaxed, especially big business or small business? Are you getting overtaxed?
We are indeed, and we have talked about this over and over. So I wonder why you are asking me now, because we have taken our time to itemize the cost items. If even when it comes to importation, the cost items at the port is about 20 items. When it comes to VAT, it used to be 3%. Now it has gone to 22%. That's the standard rate. When you talk about the new taxes that were imposed on us, those three obnoxious taxes that were imposed on us, and all these things compound to make cost of doing business extremely high. You understand the utility cost that we have to encounter and all that. And so it is true that we are being overly overtaxed, taxed against the productivity that we are having.
Right. Please help me with this. I walked Samson Asaki Awingo bit through it, and he gave me, for example, if you import a commodity, how much will be added or slapped on in terms of taxes. I want to ask you same, Dr. Obeng. So take a typical product that any member of your grouping would import, anyone that you are very familiar with, and walk us through cost versus taxation and what this means in terms of translation of the taxes to the consumer. Can you do that for me?
Yeah. So the goods that we import, we have those that attract 20% and those that also attract 35%. So if the product that you brought attracts 20%, the 20% will be calculated on your invoice value. So let's take $100,000 for your invoice value. For the simplicity of calculation, let's use 100,000. Means that the 20% will be slapped on the 100,000. Then it becomes 120,000. After that, they charge the VAT, which cumulates to about 22%, and charge it over it. So then it goes to about 144,000. That's about 40,000 plus. And then the cost items that is at the port, the AU levy, the ECOWAS levy, those levies, the lineup is about 19 to 20. And that one also cumulates to about 15%. So 41% or 42% plus 15% gives you about 57%. So if you bring an item that the duty is 20%, then you have to cover 57% of the invoice value as in forms of taxes. That's $57,000 because the invoice value was $100,000. Then you have to pay $57,000, and it's never like that anywhere in the world. It means that, and those whose items attract, like those who bring the tin tomatoes and other things, it attracts 35%, and that one also cumulates, like the same calculation that I did, it cumulates to over 65%. So it means that if your invoice value is $100,000, then you have to go and fund about $66,000 to pay your taxes alone.
Tell me, how is that even possible? Let's say you are even lending or you're borrowing, I beg your pardon, from a bank, right? At close to 40%. I do know that the basis points have gone down by about 1%. So you're borrowing at close to 40%. Then you come and do business and you're paying taxes of over, well, the component of what you're purchasing, over 60%. How are you still in business?
Yeah.
Hello, Dr. Obeng. Well, and unfortunately, the connection has gone bad. But I was just trying to work it out. I mean, if you think of someone who is borrowing close to 40% in terms of interest to pay to a bank, and then you have to pay taxes of another close to 60+% because it adds up. It's not just the VAT, the port charges and everything in addition. So if you're bringing in, let's say you've borrowed 100,000 from a bank, right? 100,000 cedis. If you're paying at 40% interest, that's already close to 140,000, right? Or could be more, depending on how the calculations are done, compounded. And then you have to foot an extra bill of about 60,000. Let's not even use 65,000. On the 100,000, what it means is you are looking at about paying back about 200,000, or you need 200,000 in essence to sort of defray your loan and then take care of imports. So how much will you add to your product in terms of price to be able to break even or make a slight profit? That's the way we should be looking at this. I don't know. Dr. Obeng, can you hear me now? All right. We'll move away briefly, go into the thick of things at Opera Square in Accra. Sweetie Abochi, my colleague, my co-host, is on hand, and she'll be engaging a few people there in terms of what exactly they're feeling and what their thinking is on this matter we're discussing. Sweetie, what have you gathered so far? What can you share with us? All right, we'll be connecting to Sweetie Abochi shortly. She's at Opera Square in Accra.
And our mission here this morning is simply to understand how citizens feel about government taxing electricity consumption. Now, although they said they're reassessing and removing it, it's not yet official. And we are here with a citizen's microphone to understand. Eja, good morning. So we are live now on Joy News. How do you feel about government taxing electricity by 15% and the possible removal of this VAT?
The 15% that they have put on the electricity is not fine. To me, I may say they should remove it totally. But before they remove it, and we believe those people that it's really that they have done it, unless the government issue white paper on it. Other than that, we, the people in Ghana, would never and never forgive him.
Thank you also for joining us. So what are your thoughts on this VAT on electricity and the possibility of it being removed?
Frankly speaking, I must say that I am not happy with the increment in these tariffs, because last year when government was bargaining over the minimum wage with the labor unions, government made Ghanaians aware that they were going to increase the wage by 23%. And Ghanaians were a bit okay, thinking that the burden would be a bit relieved, only to find out that more taxes has been packed on Ghanaians. Frankly speaking, I think government needs to reconsider some of these taxes so that we can also be comfortable. So that is what I can say. The finance minister should do something as a matter of urgency. Should try and consider other ways of raising revenue to carry out its project. Thank you.
But they're saying that it's not entirely from them. It's coming from the IMF, collaboration to recover the economy. So it's, a directive or an agreement between the finance ministry, government, and the IMF.
Yeah, to some extent, yeah, they may be right. But I feel that some of these taxes, if they tend to be direct, it's going to bring an untold hardship to us. So they should find another alternative, which will make us a bit comfortable. We are not asking government not to tax us, because that is the only way they can generate revenue. But at least some of these taxes are a bit harsh. So they should find other alternatives of raising revenue for some of these projects. Thank you.
We are still talking about, please join me here. We are still talking about government's imposition of the 15% VAT on electricity. And we know that the finance ministry is saying that they are reassessing it. So there's a possibility that it will be removed completely. But what are your thoughts so far?
Oh, but that tax is not good. It's not good for us to pay that tax, because the taxes is too much on Ghanaians. So this government will stop giving us plenty taxes and those things, because we are suffering now. Why we are paying more taxes in this country like that? If they are collecting money you don't know what they are using the money for. Always different tax, Why? Government should find ways and means and find money to pay all that kind of taxes. We Ghanaians, nowadays, see Ghana here. When they are collecting money we don't know what they are using the money for. But already they are putting taxes on us. It's not good. So we can't pay that tax. So government to find ways and means to find money to pay that tax. We Ghanaians, we can't afford it.
Do you think that if this is not if it's not official and it's completely removed, Labour Union is saying that they will go on demonstration. Do you think the Ghanaians, you and I
will support them to go that demonstration, because we can't afford it. So all of we Ghanaians, we are going to do demonstration against that, because we can't pay it. We are suffering now. So this government should think about us. Why? No. We can't.
Do you think that Ghanaians are ready to take such an action, back various unions to demonstrate if this is not officially scrapped off completely?
Of course. It's a step in the right direction. Because as I said earlier on, we are not saying government should not generate revenue. That is not it. Because if you look at these numerous social intervention policies that government has rolled out, of course, the government needs money to carry out some of these projects, and they need to generate revenue. But they should also consider the way they go about generating such revenues. If they feel that it will bring severe hardship to Ghanaians, of course, then they should find another alternative of putting that measures in place, so that at least Ghanaians will also not complain. Of course, this basic utility, that's water and light, is what we also depend on for our daily activities. And so I feel that it is too harsh. So a move like that will be welcomed by Ghanaians.
I'll come back to you. Thank you so much for joining us. So we're just talking about government imposition of the 15% VAT on tax. They're saying that they're reassessing and they might take it out. But some of the concerns of people is that first, we were not consulted before this was done. How do you feel about all of this?
Well, I have a contrary view about the imposition of the VAT. As Ghanaians, we can all attest that the economy has contracted. So it requires the government to take certain measures to ensure that the economy expanded. So they have to take expansionary policy. And in imposing 15% VAT on utility, it's more or less you are helping the economy to contract the more, because this is going to increase unemployment. Why? Most of the companies or industry, they use electricity to operate. So increase in charging VAT on utilities is more or less like now pushing the burden of tax to the citizens. And in effect, it is going to affect the ordinary citizen, our disposable income. So what happens to that? We can't afford. So the government must reconsider the decision of imposing the tax. There are a whole lot of social intervention programs. For me, I think they are needless. For example, the issue of the free SHS, some may think that it is okay, but we have a lot of graduates who are unemployed. So our problem as Ghanaians is not education, it is job. So why didn't government use that amount of money rather to focus on the one district, one factory? You and I, most parents couldn't pay their school fee because there's no job. But if this one district, one factory has been implemented fully, that unemployed parent can get job to do. So that is my humble opinion. I'm a university student. I did accounting first class. I'm not working. And this is what I'm doing for a living. First class student. This is what I'm doing for a living. I have to check blood pressure and sugar level for a fee. This is what I'm doing for a living. I am a first class student in accounting, Methodist University, with a FGP of 3.72, which is very high. But so the problem is not about education, because there are a lot of graduates in the system who are unemployed. In our time, over 12,999 did their national service. And these people, at the end of the day, the question is there any job available for them? No. This year, there are another group of people who are also embarking on the national service. So the jobs are not there. So this is social intervention like free SHS, no, it is disturbing the economy. And then now you are trying to impose VAT on us. No, you want to kill us. This is not going to help the economy to expand. Rather, it is going to contract the economy. So the government must reconsider its decision.
Before you joined us, I was asking, organized labor is saying that if this is not officially scrapped off, they are going to embark on demonstration. And they have the support of 35 other, labor unions. Do you think that this is a clarion call to Ghanaians that it's time for us to make our voices heard by government? Or do you think that they would actually, come out and demonstrate?
Well, for me, I don't support civil disobedience demonstration. I don't support. That's my stand. If there are any better alternative that...
but it's our right to demonstrate.
Yes, I know it's our right, but I don't support. Like the LGBTQ. People are saying that it's their right, but I don't support. So for me, I don't support civil disobedience. I don't support demonstration. Because there have been series of demonstrations. What has happened? So I think the government should rather listen to the cries of Ghanaians and heed to their call. But for me, I don't support civil disobedience. But if other people feel that it's okay, why not? That is my opinion.
So, right now, what should the government do, or what are some of the what are the suggestions that we can offer? Because they are trying to, revive the economy post-COVID and everything that's happened to our economy that's so bad that they now need to we need to recover from. They're saying that this is the best way they can do, and the IMF has agreed that they should tax electricity. Go ahead here. What are you suggesting that they can do as an alternative to recouping the money that we need?
I'm not support them to put that tax on us. Government should find ways and means and find money to do that thing. We Ghanaians, we are suffering now, so we can't. So anything that the government will do is that you should go and find other money to pay that tax. I don't know. Why is the government rule this country? So, but they can go, IMF and go borrow money from there to do whatever they want to do. So we Ghanaians, we are suffering now, so we can't support them to put that tax on us. So that one they place, we can't. So government should do something about that.
You know that it is sort of out of the hands of government now because it's not entirely, their directive that, they should tax electricity. It's in collaboration with the IMF for the post-COVID recovery program. What are your thoughts on that? Because it is not government's doing. Although they could have proposed, it was a negotiation. They could have proposed other means or ways of collecting this money, but now it is sort of out of their hands. What do you think about that?
Well, the government should consider living within its budget. What happens to the size of government? Government should also ensure that the public financial management officials do their work. Let me give you a case of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, who forms part of the public financial management officials. In the case of Cecilia Adapa, look at this huge amount of money that a minister, a public servant, whose salary cannot amount to. And if I, seated here right now, to have such a money, then it means that I can be living for 100 years, even if I'm spending 1,000 cedis, I can be living for 100 years without working. So for the government to ensure to mobilize or generate more revenue, taxing the citizens, but not focusing on minimizing the size of your government will not work. And then there are a lot of leakages in the system. So the government must ensure that the financial management system works perfectly. But in the case, the government doesn't allow the public financial management officials to perform their functions. So corruption has become the order of the day. We can even predict if a court is sent to the if a case is sent to the court, we can predict the outcome, and the judiciary don't disappoint. So please, and if the government really wants to do something better, it shouldn't burden the citizen, but rather they should rather look at their expenditure. They are spending recklessly. They should look at that one, and that is going to help. Look at how you have ballooned the national debt. It also comes with finance costs, and this will go against the economy. So we are expecting to charge me to pay for such for the ordinary citizen to pay for such a finance cost. Meanwhile, there is something better that you can do. The office of the presidency. Look at the amount of money that is allocated to them. No, this is wickedness. The government, the president, is not thinking about the ordinary Ghanaians, and he has agenda. He has agenda. That's what I will say. He has an agenda. So they have to consider the VAT and exactly. I don't know.
Yeah, you should remove it immediately. It's not good at all. Where? How many months remain for MPP before you leave the power? Before you build this task for her again? No. It can't be possible for Ghanaians. The wicked Ghanaians too much. Look at our currency now. If you take 10 cedis, 1 KK, if you fly fish sell 5 cedis, you don't get 5 cedis. Where?
I'll come back to you. I left you out of the conversation. So as much as government is taxing the citizens, do you think that they're doing enough for us?
Not at all. The taxation is too much. You see, this government, or I may say this current government told us that they will remove the taxation to production, not knowing they are coming to tax and tax and tax even more than what the previous government have done. You see, and the money that they have got a lot. They should have done plenty of things in the town because they have flag bearer. The current flag bearer right now told us that the money that John Mama got, he should have done a lot, and they have got even more than what John Mama have got, and John Mama have done a lot of things. You see, plenty of things than what we have seen right now. All what they touch, they cannot finish. Even when we go to Kaneshi right now, that the flyover is there. When you go to Nungwa, is there. They have left all these things, you see, for Ghanaians, and they have borrowed in which we are coming to pay our children or our grandchildren are coming to pay. You see, 2037. How can a government borrow so that they will pay 2037? How wicked you are! We don't like such a government. They should go right now.
Well, thank you so much. We are wrapping this up. Any final words before we wrap this up? If the government could hear you as a citizen, as a graduate, as a first-class graduate who have to be checking people's, what did you say you do? Blood pressure for a living and sugar level for a living. If they could hear you right now, especially on the issue of taxing, what would be your message to them?
Yeah, the government should, even in as much as the government is looking for revenue to manage the economy, it must also consider introducing a expansionary program. And then the major one to reduce unemployment so that someone like me can get job to do is to offer tax incentive to various industry. And in my opinion, imposing the VAT on utility is more or less like encouraging the industry to reduce employment. Because the more they produce, the more they use the more utility that they use, the more they produce. And then because of the VAT, they are going to increase their prices. And if prices of commodities increases, what happens to the ordinary Ghanaians? They may not be able to buy. And if they are not able to buy, what happens? It is going to affect the industry. They can't produce more. And if they can't produce more, they can't employ more. So it is going to rather increase unemployment. So I'll plead with the government to reduce the size of its government. It should also try to manage this expenditure and also try to give tax incentive. And finally, it should do well not to implement that 15% VAT on utilities. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, let's see what happens in a couple of days because 13th February is the day set by organized labor to go on demonstration if it is not completely scrapped out. Any final words from you?
I thought that this government, in fact, government in Ohadri, we are not a British colony. British people tax their people too much of economic. But the workers, the citizens, they are okay. But Ghana, we are the economic city. But what they increase the tax, your last minute too, your increase tax again. Master, you beg you. Leave this one for this government, you come and tax us. Mawie.
Well,
yeah, that reminds me. My uncle was in the country that was last year, October, during the time that NPP were going to have their primaries. Guess what happened? American embassy called my uncle and find out whether he is safe or not. And it was like, if you think you are not safe at where you are, come to the American embassy for a plane ticket and go back to America. These people are being taxed and they can see the tax working for them. But we've been taxed, we have numerous taxes, but yet still the citizens, we don't benefit from the taxes. So if the government thinks that imposing more taxes, then with the citizens, we must feel, just as the American citizen felt when the embassy found out that their citizens in this country are not in a state of what? Peacefulness. They hurriedly called to ensure that they go back to their country by the government incurring that expenditure. So the government, if it wants to tax more, it should also make sure that we feel with the citizen, we feel the import of the tax that we are paying. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. So from my conversation with the people here at Opera Square, I can infer that citizens are not happy. They're upset and they don't think that government is doing enough for them, although they're taxing us so much. So if indeed government is reassessing and would scrap this 15% VAT on electricity consumption above the lifeline unit, I think most Ghanaians will be happy. However, if that does not happen, Ghanaians or the few people here are saying that they're ready to, join forces with organized labor to demonstrate, to make the government hear their voices. This is the Citizens Microphone on AM Show. Over to you in the studio.
Well, thank you very much, Sweetie Abochi, in Accra, giving us the scoop of what people had to share. Just a few takeaways before we wrap up with our guests in the studio. Of course, she had these encounters, these interactions, and I realized that gentleman was talking about, civil disobedience. Well, like she mentioned to him, it is the law. It is a right of ordinary citizens to demonstrate. And I don't really care whether it's a past administration, this administration, a future administration. Demonstrations, once they are organized properly, peaceful, by the law, we go according to them. But I found it interesting. Here is a first-class accounting student from a university, FGPA 3.72. I know what it takes because I'm a first-class student myself. I know what it takes to get some of these, right? It's not easy. So he was talking about unemployment, but how about underemployment? That's the other side we never look at. Unemployment, they have no work. But someone like him, trained in accounting, FGPA 3.72, he's underemployed because what he should do, accounting or something in that field, how he could contribute to Ghana, he's not able to do it. That is underemployment. An even more important layer, you have someone training in a crucial area and they can't practice that. The person is operating a ride-hailing service or something of the sort. And we are not even worried about this situation. But anyway, joining the conversation now, we have Thomas Musa. He is NAT's General Secretary. He also joins the conversation. Good morning, Mr. Musa.
Good morning to yourself and to all your listeners.
I do not know why I am struggling to hear what you're saying, but I would appreciate it if you could speak up for me.
Yes, I'm saying good morning to your good self and to all your listeners.
Right, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to put it straight to you. With this matter of taxation and everything else that we've seen in between, what is your take on it? 15% VAT on electricity. We're still in limbo because we hear Cabinet proposed it, has reversed it, but now we're being told that there's nothing concrete on that. Labour is up in arms. We also have the eco levy or the eco tax. What do you make of these two?
Well, thank you very much. Our position on this matter is clear. We are not members, or we are not cabinet members. We are not cabinet members. And since we are not cabinet members, we cannot speak on what happened or what didn't happen at cabinet. So we have also not heard anything. We have also not heard anything about what from the Minister for Finance. So for that matter, we cannot comment on that one. What we know that the status quo remains. We have not received official communication from the minister telling us that the letter has been withdrawn. That has been our position. So all the arrangements we put in place all the arrangements still stand. And to such a time that it will officially be communicated to organized labor, and then we'll take it out from there. But for now, we are not members of cabinet, and therefore we cannot speak to those things. Neither can we confirm anything. Where the communication came from, we are expecting that they will come to us, telling us that it has been withdrawn, and then we take it out from there.
And I totally understand you. I was just situating the conversation because from the grapevine, as even reported by some other media house, cabinet has met and all of that, but we cannot independently confirm that. So that means from where you sit as General Secretary of NAT, you are looking forward to February the 13th when that demonstration happens, and you and your membership will participate.
Yes. This particular week and today, the police will be served. And the whole of this week, all workers in Ghana, both formal and informal, including yourself and your entire production team, you must all be in red. Because whatever happens, you also benefit from. So everybody, formal and informal, we will all be in red this particular week. Today, the police will officially be communicated to. And when that is done, then all things being equal, next week, as scheduled, we get it done. Until we hear officially from the ministry, all the arrangements we have made to stand as it is.
I know that the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, and I'm spreading the conversation, has described government's decision to engage organized labor on the VAT bit as too late. Let's take a step back. How do you feel about some of these proposals and the engagements that go into them? I mean, labor was there. Were you engaged in any way before this came up? And how does that make you feel when these come to a head?
Thank you very much. Organized labor was not engaged on this particular matter. And if you recall, when we're negotiating for the base pay, we indicated to government that we are partners, and not only partners, but we are key stakeholders regarding the social partnership of the development of this particular country. And for that matter, at any point in time that they were in difficulty, they should all let us engage so that we can judge on the negotiation table. Then, aside that particular one, during the domestic debt exchange program, the same thing happened. We told them that, look, don't take unilateral decisions when there are such things. Come to the table, and then let us all judge. That one, the same thing happened. We have to take a stand, and then they finally came back to the table. This particular one also, the same thing. And it is not something that we close our doors to government. We've not done that. If we have not closed our doors to government, regarding the social partnership, you must always come to the table for discussion. You see, but if you take a decision and you will now come back to the table, it's unfair labor practice. You are not engaging in good faith. That is bad faith. And once you engage in bad faith, then you cannot come to the table with predetermined issues. It is not done anywhere. Anytime you come with the issues, together we look at it. It's the first and foremost thing we always put on the table is national interest. Let us see how together we can get this thing done. But to take a decision and then bring it to the table and tell us that we should buy into it, we didn't put that particular thing on the table, and for that matter, we cannot buy it. You don't go and prepare food, bring it to us, and then you say we should buy it. What about if I am allergic to it? And at the negotiating table, we have what we call good faith. And we do trade-offs. There are things I will need to trade off, and there are things also that the employer will have to trade off. Why should I trade my basic necessity? This electricity matter we are talking about, it's a basic necessity of life. It's a basic necessity. Today, electricity is not a luxury. It's a basic necessity of life. Look, the worker that is going to work, the mother is going, the father is going, and they have reached in the house. Because of the time that mother, father, children will come back home, they normally cook the granule soup, the palm nut soup, and all those, and they keep them in the freezer. So that when they come around 7:30, they can warm it and eat. Because of these things, they can no longer do it. So how will they survive? You push more people below the poverty line. Aside that one, the rural electrification that was started, it will be abandoned because they cannot afford it, they will now start cutting down trees, among other things. And children, that it is going to affect education badly. Because those who cannot pay their large bills, by 6:37, the children will have to go to bed. Is that what we are talking about here? We are saying no. Government should come to the table, and first the letter should be withdrawn. As you have indicated, let government come to the table, and then we can judge or see what can be done. But for now, the status quo remains. We are saying that today the police will be served. We will be in red from today up to Friday. And all things being equal, by by next week Tuesday, we kickstart our program. Unless we receive the letter, all the arrangements we put in place still stand.
Now, Mr. Yawine of the ICU has wondered what this engagement would be about anyway, whether it would be about reducing the 15% or scrapping the tax. And he has said that, look, what's the sense in this engagement? It's too late. We've interacted with groups that have said, we don't want it, that's it. It's not about bringing it down to 5%, 2%, 10%. It must go, okay? From where you sit, what will be the consequences of this on your membership as the Ghana National Association of Teachers if government goes ahead with these two? Because now it's not just the 15% taxation on VAT, it also is the emissions levy or the eco tax, as some call it. What do you think would be the repercussions for your members?
In the laws, when we went to elementary school, there is an aspect of the Lord's Prayer that says that lead us not into temptation. And I believe that we will not be led into temptation. Organized labor, we have spoken. We are saying that we draw it. A government thinks that it wants to go ahead. I don't want to believe that organized labor will be given that temptation. I don't want to believe that. But if government wants to bring it on, then organized labor will respond appropriately. That's one we can assure all the management of this particular country. This time around, the roadmap, like I've indicated to you, stand. And we will go by it strictly. And everybody, formal and informal workers, have to comply with it. And like I'm indicating to you, I don't want to believe that we will be led to that particular temptation. And I don't want to also believe that government will be insisting that if government wants to insist, then means that there is no more social dialogue. And then what government is expecting, organized labor will also proceed with their plan, and let's see what happens.
Hold for me, Mr. Musa. There's a crucial question I want to run by you before you go, so please don't take leave of me. Let me come to Samson Awingobit on this matter as well. Looking at where we've got to, I have an interesting outlook on this, though, because guess what? If government, and mind you, it's not the IMF compelling government to implement this. It is one of the proposals from our government to them on how we are going to meet revenue shortfalls. So I've heard people say, is the IMF foisting it? Yes, there must be a mechanism, but the IMF is not necessarily saying, use this method. Okay? If they don't do it this way, government will find another way of getting the money. I hope you're aware of that. If they don't use the 15% VAT, it is clear that they will find other means of doing it. So in the end, it's still going to be the same scenario, isn't it? Yes, so try it with or what do you think?
How are they going to find any means of getting it? And
I'll put that question back to you. How are they going to meet the revenue shortfall? How are they going to meet the revenue shortfall?
Okay, so we saw, I guess, to borrow somebody where I think senior comrade Franklin Kujo made some statistics. He's saying that government, why don't you cut down some of the wastes? Okay, if government think that there is shortfall. Government in 2017 had a presidential staff of 953. After election 2020 up to date, government has increased 953 to 3,681. These 3,681, everybody's riding V8. Everybody's taking fuel. Everybody's drawing salary. Government budget itself, they should cut it down. Government should be able to cut it down. Government cannot think that things are not well when you are living flamboyant life and think that the ordinary citizens should suffer the consequences for you, just for a few ones in government to be enjoying. Everybody is driving V8. The government said there was going to be a policy for all government appointees to pack down V8 and use saloon cars. My brother, you are in Accra, I'm in Tema. Go to ministries this morning, send your reporters. All the government appointees, everybody is moving with V8. Yes, within the residence of airport, Roman Ridge, and others, cantonment. That is where most sensitive government appointees are living. They drive to the ministries. V8s are on. So why would government live this luxury life and think?
The connection to Samson has frozen. But let me quickly come to Thomas Musa. I know you are in some sort of interaction meeting, so let me wrap with you. Thomas, I'll put that same question to you.
Stop. That's why I'm saying that we are not angry enough for the government. And that is boiled down to be the trade union. Remember, I said that the government is bringing so much taxes. Organized labor remain new. Not come to the market. We are coming to increase the cost of doing business. And your members will come to pay this. They will go and fix their car park. They will go and buy rice. They will go and buy soap. They will go and buy Pepsi. They will go and buy clothes for. They will buy books. Even recently, books attracted VAT. Exercise books. You know, if you have children like 4 in the kindergarten or in the primary schools or in the JSS, and you see the amount of books that you buy. My daughter went to SS. If I tell you some of the books I have to buy for her, the cost because of VAT is on it. We are not angry enough.
Okay.
We remain silent.
All right.
So the government fought it way. So I can tell you, importers and exporters will join organized labor in demonstrating. Let government knows that enough is enough.
Okay.
The government is not ready to cut down its own expenditure. I think that, and they are getting allowances upon allowances.
Okay, Mr. Awingobit, hold for me. Let me go to Thomas Musa, who has to take leave of us, actually. Thomas Musa, what is your take on this? I mean, some have posited that if they don't find it from the left, they'll find it from the right. Whichever mechanisms they must use, they will go for the taxes. But I also wanted you to just take a look at this. UTAG is rebuking the UNIMAC Vice Chancellor over book and research allowances. He has said that he doesn't understand the purpose of book and research allowances, and UTAG has gone after him for that. I don't know whether you followed that story. What do you think about these 2 points before you take leave of us, Mr. Musa? Hello, Thomas Musa.
Can you hear me? Hello.
I can hear you now.
Good. The first one, regarding that, if government doesn't take it on the electricity, the government will find a way of taking it. Look, let me carefully look at the 2023 budget. Look at pages 57, 58, 59, up to 60. I repeat, carefully look at the 2023 budget and carefully examine all the expenditure measures we promised ourselves that we will be able to work on in order to come out of the from the intensive care unit where we found ourselves. If you look at page 57, 58, 59, and 60, these 4 pages of the 2023 budget, we made a lot of promises there. One of them include of the review of government flagship programs. Have we done that one? And check about the issues of the G8 and all those things. Everything is in here, nicely decorated in the budget of the 2023 budget. We are not doing it. The question is, it is not about what we want to do, but it is about engaging and appreciating the challenge or the conditions that we have found ourselves in. Remember that we are currently at the intensive care unit for the 17th time. We are currently there, and we need to do something about it to come out of the situation we found ourselves in. We have all those things in the budget. What is preventing us from implementing them? Please, the solution is already in the budget, and I've indicated it to you. Let me come to the final one, which is the book and research allowance.
Yeah.
I think that whoever is saying that the book and research allowance
is the UNIMAC former GIJ, the UNIMAC yes. Vice Chancellor. He is saying that.
That is the beauty of democracy. He is entitled to his opinion. But government should ask, we should be able to ask ourselves, if we are taking this thing out, in all the developed countries where you go, we have what we call R&D, research and development. Development doesn't take place without research. So whoever will tell you that it is not necessary, is telling you that you don't need development. Today we are talking about AI. Today we are talking about robotics and all that. How can these things happen without research? We are not even investing enough in research in this country. We are not. How can somebody who has reason through the academic calendar speak like this? It is shocking. But please, like I have said, we as a people should know that our development cannot happen without research. And therefore, the research allowance, even if possible, they must even add more to it so that we can get more development and take Ghana out of the intensive care unit where we find ourselves in. But for somebody to say that it's not necessary, I think this is democracy. That is the beauty of it. People should be allowed to express their opinion, and he has expressed his opinion. But for this particular matter, his opinion, I don't think that is something that should be considered. Let us look at the national interest, and like I have indicated, research and development will always go together. Nothing will happen without these two things. So let us invest more in research so that we can get our developmental projects and agenda going. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Musa. That was a bit of a digression, but since I had you, I wanted to feed in that bit. Thomas Musa is General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers. Let me come back to the substantive matter of taxation. I'll run this by Dr. Joseph Obeng, GUTA President, and then from there we'll get ready to cap off the conversation. So, Dr. Obeng, if government doesn't get it from the left, they'll likely use the right to get these taxes. What's your reaction to that? And yes, I know you are likely joining the demonstration on February the 13th if there are no answers given. What's your prognosis of that?
Yeah. The government has so many ways to enhance revenue collection. First of all, we have to expand the tax net to capture a lot more people who are outside the tax net who are capable of paying these taxes, and that has been our problem. So the number of taxes that we are being made to pay is many already, and they're just too high also. The only problem left is how to get a lot more people to pay these taxes. And so we have to find out how we can be able to capture these other people who are outside the tax net into paying. And then secondly, we have to also adopt efficient tax collection system, especially with regard to the VAT. The way that tax is structured, we could have gotten more than enough that will help the government to develop. But the way it is structured is not conducive for tax payment. And so compliance is very, very limited. So we have to adopt efficient tax collection system that will make us enhance on our revenue collection. Don't forget that the previous year, 2023, we exceeded our revenue collection. It means that the taxes that we are paying is high and many. All that we have to do is to even increase the tax net so that we can even get more. So it's not that we are not doing well in terms of the taxes that we are paying, but because we have to adopt more efficient way to enhance on this revenue. And in any case, there are other areas that when you government touch, nobody is going to talk about. Let's take, for instance, the road tolls. When it was taken out of the table, even Ghanaians were crying that it should be brought back. Why don't we find some modern way to do it self-automation and bring this toll booths all over the country so that we can even use that money for the road construction and all that. And that will go a long way also to help. So it's not that the area when you touch is going to touch the productivity and then the growth of faith is what we have to take. When we are doing economics, you put things on the scale to see how it's going to affect the competitiveness of business, the growth of business, and other positive things that businesses need. Yeah.
All right. Before I come to you, interestingly, we also know that the Ghana Publishers Association is bemoaning government's imposition of a value-added tax on books. Now, the group has revealed that government wrote to them asking them to charge an extra 21% VAT on all books except those sanctioned by the Ministry of Education. And this, the group believes, will cripple the book publishing industry and increase the cost of books. So look at it. Let's assume you're paying 15% on electricity. You're paying the plethora of taxes when you go out to make a purchase or go out to eat, depending on where you are going. You're purchasing books, another 21% VAT slapped on it. It appears the taxes, you'll be taxed everywhere. Everywhere. No matter where you pass, the taxes will bite. They will hit you. Anyway, gentlemen, final words. And I also want you, I'll start with you, Dr. Obeng. I want you to factor in the PURC's role. Samson Asaki Awingobit started talking about it. The PURC's role in the implementation of all of this, or the computation of all of this, how you feel about it. And then you can add your final words, Mr. Obeng. Dr. Obeng, I beg your pardon.
That's why I'm still talking about the efficient tax collection systems, and if PURC is going to charge VAT, how are we going to go about it? If even people have to also redeem, VAT is such that you can also redeem. You take the input and output. How is this all going to play if we do not have a very efficient system of doing that? It's going to bring chaos, confusion into the system. So even the tax collection system itself is going to be a problem, and that need to be looked at again.
Thank you very much, Dr. Obeng, for your thoughts. Samson Asaki Awingobit, you have the final word on this. Hello, Samson.
Well, what I can say is that you are asking that where would government get the... Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Please go ahead.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Good.
Go ahead.
We were asking where would government get the needed money? Where would government get the needed money to do? If you pick since 2017 till date, there has been Auditors General accounts that the Public Accounts Committee in Parliament has been speaking to it. Government should go and retrieve all those monies. Since 2017 till date, there has been so many allegations of corruption upon corruptions, to the extent that even the special prosecutor said that having engaged with his colleagues from other countries like America and others, they have realized that there has been some kind of money laundering. Government should go and retrieve all those monies and bring it to fulfill the shortfall and allow us to sleep peacefully. If for nothing at all, this is an electionary year. That is why I said the government has exhausted its own knowledge and ideas, ways and means. And for that matter, the usefulness of this government has ended. So Ghanaians should be angry with this government. I strongly believe that if the government wants to get money from us, the government should do as the good thing. When Ghanaians are calling on, fire your finance minister, the president still wants to go home with his finance minister. When Ghanaians are calling on, there is so much pack of government appointees, your staffers, reduce them. The president turned his ears on us as if he hasn't heard what Ghanaians are talking about. We think that if government wants to find the other means to get this shortfall revenue, not the port. The port has already made out of its usefulness, because many importers are now diverting cargoes to Ivory Coast, Lomé, as a result of the cost of doing business in the country. Many households today, Ghanaians workers, if I can tell you, some are still taking like 400, 500 Ghana cedis as a monthly salary. This burden we can no longer bear with it. And so, if anything at all, I've directed you, tell government, tell the president that he in his cabinet should go and retrieve all corrupt money. Is to go and retrieve all the audited accounts that we've seen that there have been discrepancies. People have spent money that we are not supposed to spend them. Then he should also drop some of his appointees. That's the way to go.
Thank you very much, Samson Asaki Awingobit. It's been quite a conversation.
And not the port. The government should not come to the port.
All right. He shouldn't come to the port.
Pardon me?
All right. No, I am just corroborating what you're saying. You're saying he shouldn't come to the port, right? Samson Asaki Awingobit is Executive Secretary, Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana. Dr. Joseph Obeng, who also joined us as President of GUTA, that is the Ghana Union of Traders Association. Thomas Musa is General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers. I was just telling you about that, and we're about to get into that issue. The Ghana Publishers Association is worried about value-added tax on, books. Now, the group says government wrote to them asking them to charge an extra 21%. Yeah, you heard me right. VAT on all books except for those sanctioned by the Ministry of Education. Now, the group believes this move will cripple the book publishing industry and increase the cost of books, which you and I will have to buy. We'll bring you more on that after this break. Thank you for staying with us. We continue on the never-ending story of taxation. The Ghana Publishers Association is worried about value-added tax being applied on books or the plan to implement them on books. The group says government wrote to them asking them to charge an extra 21% VAT on all books except for those sanctioned by the Ministry of Education. Now, the group believes this move will cripple the book publishing industry and increase the cost of books. That's the bottom line. We're joined by President of the Association, Maxwell Konadu. Mr. Yamwa, a very good morning to you. Hello, Mr. Yamwa.
Good morning, please.
Thank you very much for joining the conversation this morning.
My pleasure.
I think we'll need to up the volume so I can hear exactly what you're saying.
Please.
So, Mr. Yamwa, when exactly did you get this communication to you?
No, it was a part of the amended VAT law of 2023. And therefore, I think 2023 or thereabout. So it was included that imported books are to be VATed. So I think the implementation starts this year, January.
Okay, so
when you import books, for instance, or when you print books from outside, you are going to pay the 21% VAT. I think at the port, you pay at the port.
You pay 21% at the port. So this is already being implemented as we speak.
Yes, it was supposed to have started in January.
I'm asking, is it being implemented? Have your members?
Yes, some members have been paid that amount of money at the port.
Okay, since January this year.
Yes.
Now, when this came to the fore, as far as the proposals, the budget, the VAT, what was your response? Did you push against it?
Yeah, we actually, initially when the law was passed, amended, what we did was to invite the Ghana Revenue Authority to a meeting.
Right.
More or less like a sensitization meeting where they had to come and explain to us. And then we filed questions and clarifications. After that, we had a meeting and decided that we need to work in ensuring that this thing is lifted. You see, the whole issue is not about publishers trying to rake in more profit and therefore the VAT should be abolished. It's about the situation of education in the country. Books are so critical to education delivery. It is very critical to culture and promotion of literacy and reading. We all bear with us that most books, Ghanaian publishers are doing their best, but we are also importing books from outside. And therefore, if you want to burden parents and schools with increase in the cost of books, it is unfortunate. It is not about getting revenue. Because at the end of the day, I am just challenging GRA and the Ministry of Finance to do their calculation and, of course, get to know whether indeed the VAT is giving us some benefit or is rather disadvantaging the country. You end up making books more expensive, and we cannot buy books. We are thinking about the public servants. We're thinking about the people of Ghana, parents, students, and teachers, school administrators. if you increase the books by VAT. So, for instance, a book that is being sold for 40 cedis automatically will have to be increased by 21%. And you look at the implications. So our issue is more to do with the national interest rather than some parochial interest that perhaps somebody sitting back there was saying that that's what we are doing.
Tell me, so who will be paying for this? We know that books sanctioned by the Ministry of Education will not have these. I mean, if you look at the generality of it, are there more books from those that are not sanctioned by the ministry or the GES that will be affected by this? Who exactly will be paying for it?
No, the books, the cost will be transferred to the consumer. And the only thing that the law has said that only books that are approved by the ministry, so to speak, are exempted. That clause of approval is what we seek also to clarify. So in our letter to the minister, we said that issue should be clarified. Which books constitute approval? Is it that all books that have been approved by NACA are exempted? Or is it that books that the ministry decides to procure for schools are the ones that are exempted? It has to be clarified.
So you've not even got that clarity yet as it is being implemented?
Yes, it's being implemented. So now, even books that have been approved by NACA that are being printed outside, you are being asked to pay the VAT at the port.
Wow. Have you interacted with NACA on this? What have they told you?
Yeah, we wrote to NACA and copied the minister. And as he said, some of the issues NACA had said clearly, of course, which we agree, that is beyond them. The issue of VAT, the issue of taxes, is not at the bosom of NACA. But the issue of clarifying which books are exempted from this VAT is still hanging.
You mentioned that initially you had an engagement with the GRA, right?
Yes.
And they've still not been able to smoothen some of these creases in terms of understanding for you?
They said that the questions that the officials that came had to file our questions and send it to the office for clarification. And so far, we've not met them. So we've written again to GRA for another meeting. You see, this has to be resolved. Otherwise, it brings confusion to the whole system.
Yes, and in terms of resolving it, I mean, with things standing as they are, what do you forecast to be the impact on your industry?
You see, the industry will be impacted because the sales will be slow. But you see, the issue is about improving education, reading, and literacy. Books are becoming expensive. Reading books for literacy promotion, reading books for improving the level of literacy and all that in the schools are becoming expensive. Of course, because of the cost of production already high, we are witnessing another increase of the cost by the VAT that is going to be added to it. You see, publishers, as I told you, this is VAT. We will just transfer it to the consumer. But we also have to think about the future of the country, especially when it comes to education, literacy, and reading. Already we have a deficit of literacy, improvement in literacy. And this is going to contribute greatly to this deficit that we have. So we have written to TUC on the angle of the suffering of the parents and workers, that they should see with us. It is not about publishers, it's about the country, it's about how workers are going to bear the cost and how it's going to affect education, it's going to affect the income of the ordinary worker.
Now, if I even gauge with the 40 CDs that you gave me, if I calculate 21% on that, that amounts to 8 CDs and 40 pesos. So that means a book that is going for 40 CDs brought in by your association would likely now shoot up to almost 50 CDs,
yeah,
48 CDs and 40 pesos.
50 CDs.
Right. What steps then? What steps should we expect from your group on the back of this? Because you've engaged NACA, they are telling you, and I think justifiably so, they are not involved in taxes. The rules are there. The GRA is not giving you any feedback. What then is your next move?
Now, the next move, of course, as I told you, is what we are engaging TUC.
Okay.
And, yeah, we've written formally to TUC. We've met with them once, and we've articulated our position to them, and we expect that they also will take it up and also work along with us to make sure that this VAT, it is not going, to me, it's a nuisance tax and must be off. It is not going to solve any revenue shortfall for the government.
I'm interested in this. You describe this new VAT, 21% on books, apart from those sanctioned by the Ministry of Education, to be nuisance taxes. I'm just curious, since you're talking about the TUC and all of that, there's the 15% VAT on electricity, there's the emissions levy, where you're paying anything between 75 cedis, motorbikes and the rest, and over 300 cedis. And now this, in addition to everything else that we know, the e-levy and everything in between. Where then does that leave the members of your association, especially in respect of the February 13 planned demonstration? Where does that leave you in the middle of all this?
You see, the challenge, of course, with business and trade is that we are a business advocacy organization. Members advocating right conditions for our members. We will continue to advocate. We will continue to speak to authorities. We will continue to dialogue. I think that should be the way forward.
Right.
We cannot go and demonstrate because I believe the demonstration will not bring any effect to us. But if we are able to articulate our issues quite clearly and bringing out the national interest issue, and of course the challenge to me of what benefits the government will accrue to the government with these taxes vis-a-vis your education, your culture, and all that. So I am of the view that the route that we've taken is the best. We will continue to dialogue. We will continue to work, and we'll continue to engage them. We are expecting a meeting with the DRA.
All right, so even if the taxes remain and everything, all you will do is continue to engage?
There's nothing we can do about that. All we do is not to engage and let them see reason with us.
All right.
And we are hopefully by mid of the year, if everything is clear, maybe the tax will be waived.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Yamwa, for joining the conversation with us this morning. Asari Konadu Yamwa is president of the Ghana Publishers Association. He joined us to talk about that 21% VAT that has been imposed on books that are not sanctioned by the Ministry of Education. Well, we move on from there. We'll be having another conversation shortly on the AM show, Prostat 60. They'll be joining us. Do stay. Welcome back on the AM show. Your prostate as a man, I've always been saying it. You lose God small, no. It will not be a nice issue. And that's why we keep telling you about it every day. Well, today we have a conversation about Prostat 60. It's a product of Phytotech, and we're discussing how you can live a healthier life in 2024. Joining us for a conversation, we have Ruben Agbo. He is Doctor of Herbal Medicine at Phytotech Limited. Doc, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you.
Yes, good to see you again also.
All right. Yeah. Let's talk about the prostate. Usually when I have conversations on it, I want to start with what it is, where it is, and all that. Just briefly, what is the prostate?
All right. So when we look at the human body, we have prostates as a gland. So the prostate as a gland is just beneath the bladder. So if you want to know the bladder is just at the lower abdomen parts. So just beneath the bladder is the one that stores the urine. So just beneath it, we have the prostate over there. Now, the prostate serves as a very good function when it comes to reproductive health for men. It is only seen in men. So most often, when you ejaculate as a man, the prostate actually squeezes a particular fluid, that is prostatic fluid, that makes 70% of the fluid that comes out as semen. So it's very good for...
That is the seminal fluid.
Yes, the seminal fluid. So it is very good as a man that you have the prostate functioning. In this case, it means that the semen that is entering into the woman's vagina, the woman's vagina is actually acidic. So when it enters, it becomes basic, and then everything gets neutralized. Now the sperms will be able to travel all the way to go and meet the egg in order to fertilize, and then now we get human being. So that is the prostate. And if you have a problem with this prostate as you are growing up, then now your quality of life will get reduced. That is about prostate gland.
Okay, so interesting point you make, but we also know that as you grow, your prostate will naturally go through some processes. It may get a bit enlarged and all of that, which isn't necessarily bad. It's part of a normal process. But in some instances, some people can keep themselves and all that.
Yeah.
But tell us, we're looking at Prostat 60 right in front of us. What is it? What is it used for?
All right. Okay. So when it comes to Prostat 60 is being produced by Phytotech Limited. Prostat 60 is actually a herbal product that is formulated and produced from herbal extracts. So I do not want to bore our viewers with the technical or the botanical names of these herbal products. But if you care to know, it has been gotten from Croton membranaceous, Cucurbita purple. We have the Momodica carantia in there. So we take the extracts.
What are all of these? These are scientific names.
Exactly.
What are they essentially?
Okay, so they're actually herbal plants. And then we actually take the extract from these herbal plants, and then we put them here in the capsules. So that is how you see it in the capsule shell, and then you are able to actually take it. That is for Prostat 60. Now, Prostat 60, as it is being designed, it is designed in such a way that it will be able to tackle people who are having prostate enlargement, that is the benign prostatic hyperplasia. So prostate enlargement, and then also treat prostatitis, that is inflammation of the prostate that is being caused by bacteria. So you can actually use Prostat 60 alone. You are using it alone to combat these particular two conditions that I have mentioned. That is the benign prostatic hyperplasia, that is enlargement of the prostate, and then also to treat the prostatitis, that is inflammation of the prostate caused by bacteria. You can use it alone. You can also use it in conjunction with orthodox prostate medication. That is a named orthodox prostate medication. So therefore, we know...
so hold right there. Usually they will tell you that don't mix herbal treatment with orthodox treatment. You're telling me that Prostat 60 can be used with a specific or general orthodox medication?
So we're actually specific. It is because I do, it's just because I do not want to mention a brand over here, but this is a known prostate medication, and then we have done the drug herb interaction. So we know when you can use it. And it is not like you are combining it together with the orthodox prostate medication at the same time. You would have to take this medication, that is the orthodox, and then wait for like 30 to 1 hour, and then you take in the Prostat 60. It is able to give you the effect.
And we have your number displayed on the screen. When these calls come through, you will then let those who want to make the purchase know which medication it is that they can combine with this.
Yes, exactly. And then we actually have medical doctors who prescribe this. So they prescribe it together with their other one. So either you are taking Prostat 60 alone for your BPH and prostatitis, or you are taking in conjunction with the known prostate medication. And then also you can also use Prostat 60 as you can actually use it to prevent
I was just getting there.
Yes, exactly. That is a prophylactic agent. So you are using it to prevent it. So if you are 30 years, 35 years, 40 years and above, then you can use Prostat 60 in order to protect yourself so that you will not get to the extent where now your prostate is giving you a problem. Even passing out urine flow becomes a challenge when you are growing.
This is interesting. I have personally used Prostat 60 before, and I'm not just saying that because someone has come into the studio and we're talking about it. I've used it in the past, and it's all about, like I said, keeping yourself healthy, and avoiding problems, because in this country you don't want to fall sick, honestly. You don't. So some of us do that. We take our multivitamins and others seriously. But I'd like to ask, how long has this been on the market?
Okay, so this has been on the market for the past 9 years, since 2015.
9 years?
Yes, 9 years. It has been on the market for the past 9 years. And it is very effective. A lot of doctors are using it. And even if I want to describe how it works, we have 3 places or 3 major areas that we want to tackle. When you are managing prostate enlargement, now we have 3 things that we want to take care of. So your prostate is becoming bigger. So there's a cell growth. There's actually testosterone that is converting into dihydrotestosterone that is making the prostate to become big. So you are looking at a medication that will be able to stop this conversion so that at least your prostate can be in its normal size. That is the first thing that we are looking at. Now, the second one is we want to look at the chronic prostatic inflammation, because there are bacteria in there that is making the prostate to become inflamed. So we are looking at this number 2. And then the third one that is very important is we would want to maintain the sexual function of the individual that is taking the Prostat 60, or the individual that is taking a prostate medication. So you have medications in there that will be able to stop the conversion. Number 2, that will be able to reduce the prostate inflammation. But now when it comes to the third one, that is the sexual function, that is where people have a challenge. And unfortunately, people have a challenge, and that is why there's default in treatment when it comes to the orthodox prostate medication. We can all go and then read. A lot of people do not read, but when you look at the orthodox medication...
Well, some people don't like hearing that. A lot of people also read, so let's look for the people who read.
Okay, so those who read. All right, okay, fine. And then we are encouraging everybody to read. Just take the insert leaflet, and then you can see the adverse effect of this other medication. You see impotence, that is erectile dysfunction. And that is why a lot of people do not want to go into this. And then they will want to now get a herbal medication or alternative medication, but in getting that, people end up getting crude, unstandardized herbal medications.
Right.
And it is giving them a lot of problem. And that is where Phytotech comes in. With Prostate 60, that will be able to help in order to prevent the conversion, number 1. Number 2, to stop that inflammation ongoing, and then also to maintain your sexual function. Okay, so you are still taking medication that is able to help you with your prostate enlargement. At the same time, your sexual function is being maintained properly for you as a man.
And that's the sense. For me, it's more preventive. When I do my regular checkups, they tell me everything is fine, including my prostate, and it's prophylactic. That's what you said, right?
Yes,
prevention.
Yes, exactly.
Rather than curative purposes.
Exactly.
That's what we don't want. But to conclude the conversation, right before we get to your final words, so where can we get Prostate 60? In what forms does it come? Is there a liquid form, or is it simply in capsular form? And finally, how much is it?
All right, okay. So we can get Prostate 60 from any pharmaceutical outlet throughout the country. Even if you are outside the country, you can always contact us with the numbers that will be displayed on the screen, and then you can contact us, you can WhatsApp us, and then you will be able to show you where exactly you can get the Prostate 60. Now, Prostate 60 comes in 3 different packages. So we have the first one. It looks like a tubular form. It's actually capsules in there. It is not liquid. Okay. So there are capsules in there. And then also, it is not a dispersible capsule. It's actually a hard gelatin capsule shells. So we have this over there, and then you get it. It contains 30 capsules. Averagely, you get it between 150 to 175, depending on the pharmacy that you are getting the product and then the area as well. We also have another package that is the blister pack as well. That one contains 30 capsules also. So that one to the same price, that is between 150 and then 175. And then also, we also have another package that contains only 10 capsules. So that is also a blister pack, 10 capsules. That one too is between 50 to 60 cedis, depending on the pharmacy that you are getting. And these are average retail prices all over. So anywhere in the country, when you enter into a pharmacy, a chemical shop, a health shop, a herbal shop, you will be able to get Prostate 60. If you're having a challenge, our numbers that are being displayed, when you call us, we'll be able to show you.
Do mention that number again.
Okay, so the number is 024-649-0116. 024-649-0116.
It's on the screen, but I still want you to mention it one last time and then recap of the conversation.
So the number is 024-649-0116. And you can call us from Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We'll be able to answer your call. And then if you have any medical condition pertaining to these things that I'm talking about, you can actually call, we can book, and then we'll be able to do telemedicine for you.
Ruben, thank you so much for joining the conversation, and keep up the good work. Stay with us when we return briefly. If you'd like to call, get ready. 0302-211-691. We're picking about 2 or 3 calls max, and we're out of here. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and this is how we cap off the show, but not without your calls. So call that number 0302-211-691, 0302-211-691. Today we focus on taxes all over. Taxes on books, 21%, the intended tax on electricity, 15%, the emissions levy, 75 cedis to over 300 cedis. Phew, Charlie, you know, be joke. But anyway, we still day, God day, we day. What are your thoughts on these matters? If you'd like to talk about the conversation we just had on the prostate as well, you can call. But in the interim, let me celebrate one of our very own. I saw her resplendent on television this morning in red, shiny red, I might add. Some spangled dress. And I took a shot and sent it to her. Then she told me it was her birthday. I'm talking about Rosalind Felly, my own former co-host on Prime Morning, and she is a host on Prime Morning still. Happy birthday to you, Rosalind Felly. God bless and keep you. Keep shining. We have a call on the line. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Nabil Balu Mohammed, calling from Sisala East Rada.
All right, Mohammed, what are your quick thoughts for us? Very quickly.
Yeah, on the value added tax. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, on the value added tax, the government.
Oh, Mohammed, I don't know what happened. I'm so sorry. You could try calling again, though we're pressed for time, if you're minded to do so. We can still pick one or two more calls and then call it a show. 0302-211-691. 0302-211-691. And let me also say that if you're celebrating your birthday today, I may not know it, but if you're watching me, I celebrate you, yeah? Happy birthday to you. Akonaba, it's been a while since I heard from you. Good morning.
Good morning, my lovely brother. It's true, Charlie. I just feel your jacket. I have to call back and collect your number.
I see, right.
We are one family.
Right.
As Ghanaians.
What are your thoughts for us?
Okay, quickly, my brother. You see, I think the Ghana Publishers Association, they are not making noise enough. I have kids who are going to school at the primary level and also in the international school. So definitely, Akonaba, for instance, will be affected. So I want them to make noise enough. If they are part of TUC, they should report to TUC for TUC to lead them. Because this thing, if they don't take care, the issues and the fighting that is going to bring at the local level, my brother, we cannot handle it. This government must understand that they should come clean and tell Ghanaians, Ghana, we are sorry. The IMF that we've gone, there's going to be serious austerity measures so that Ghanaians will be aware. It's like they are playing hide and seek. Okay, now their own people say they should withdraw the 15% tax. The party says, according to Nanabi says, this is the position of the party. The government should support it. Meanwhile, too, it's an IMF conditionality. So why is Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia, they are not being transparent to us?
All right.
Dr. Bawumia,
all right. Akonaba, unfortunately, we have to go, but I think the thrust of your message has been secured. Well, thank you all for watching us this morning. There's no us without you, you know that. So we're grateful that you actually take the time to join us. Sweetie Abochi, together with Benjamin Akako on the AM show. We love you. Stay tuned for Joy News Desk. Up next.